Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Before the spiritual energy of rebirth is revived, invest in the future empress. Chapter 41. Lyn Shu said coldly, "Haha, going to jail has nothing to do with my son. If you want to go to jail, your son will go to jail." Yi Dao said coldly, "You really have long hair and short sight. My son is so seriously injured, how can he go to jail?" Lyn Shu mocked, "It seems that you really don't know anything. Your son blocked the road and attacked our family. My son had no choice but to resist. He is injured now. It's all his own fault. He can't blame anyone." "People," Yi Zhen said hurriedly, "you are talking nonsense. You obviously think that I am talented and are afraid that I will rise in the future, so you are the ones who take the initiative to attack me. Dad, please call the police immediately. You cannot let them talk nonsense in front of the police and put all the responsibility on me." Quote. Lyn Shu looked at Yi Zhen and said, "Kid, you are still too young. Do you think anyone will believe you if you confuse right and wrong and say a few random words? You are also a high school student, so you should know that our car is not cheap, right? All higher-end cars are equipped with driving recorders, and our car is no exception. The cause, process, and result of the entire incident were all recorded in the driving recorder. We have handed over the contents of the recorder to the police. The police have determined that it was self-defense for our family and there is no need to pay any responsibility. On the contrary, it is you who are looking for love and causing trouble. When you are almost healed, you will probably be detained for a few days." Quote. Lyn Shu's words made Yi Zhen turn pale. Yi Dao knew his son well. Looking at his son's expression, he knew that what his son said was true. Yi Dao looked ugly and said, "Son, is this really what happened? Why are you looking for them?" Yi Zhen explained, "Dad, I feel sorry for you. Their family cheated you out of your shares. You would have been a multi-millionaire, but now our family is living a life that is worse than dogs, while their family is living a life that is worse than dogs. It's so comfortable, so I'm not willing to go to them." Yi Dao was suddenly speechless. He knew what happened back then better than anyone else. As Guo Degang said, "The person who wronged you knows better than you yourself how wronged you are." Yi Dao knew that he was sorry for Yi Zhen at the beginning, but he just couldn't accept it. He thought that he should have had a good life, but it was a pity that he was deprived of it by Yi Changzong. Therefore, he instilled this kind of hatred in Yi Dao, hoping that his son would express this tone in the future. Unexpectedly, this led to Yi Zhen's hand being chopped off today, which was simply retribution. Yi Dao was silent for 2 minutes and suddenly said, "Changzong, we have known each other for more than 30 years. No matter what misunderstandings we had before, I hope you can forgive me. The money for my son's surgery will be treated as if I am lend me yours, can you help us?" Yi Zhen is still a child, he is only 17 years old, he can't live without his right hand. Yi Changzong was too kind-hearted after all. He said slowly, "How much does the surgery cost?" Yi Dao immediately said, 100,000 yuan. When Yi Changzong heard the number 100,000, his expression suddenly changed. 100,000 yuan, this number again. 20 years ago, Yi Dao invested 100,000 yuan in shares. Later, when the business encountered difficulties, Yi Dao had to get back the same 100,000 yuan. Perhaps this number was too coincidental. Yi Changzong thought of what happened back then, and his excess sympathy disappeared in an instant. 100,000 yuan, another 100,000 yuan, Yi Dao, do you still remember the 100,000 yuan you invested in? Seeing the change in Yi Changzong's expression, Yi Dao felt a thump in his heart. Remember, I was sorry for what happened back then. I apologize to you now. Yi Changzong sighed. At the beginning, we started a business together. You and I each invested 100,000, and a few other friends added up to 100,000, a total of 300,000. When we started the business, we encountered a crisis not long after. What did you do at that time? Maid. Yi Dao slapped himself in the face and said, "It's my fault. At that time, I felt that I might lose all my money in starting a business. I was afraid that the 100,000 yuan would be wasted, so I cried, made trouble, and hanged myself. It's my fault that you give me back the 100,000 yuan I invested." Yi Changzong said slowly, "Yes, it was difficult to start a business at that time, and you came to take the trouble again. I really had no choice but to borrow loan sharks to return the money to you. From then on, everyone parted ways and went their own ways. But why did you tell your son that I used conspiracy to swallow up your shares? If you hadn't said that, your son wouldn't have hated our family so much, and what happened today wouldn't have happened. Quote. Yi Dao burst into tears after hearing this. I'm sorry for you. This is all my retribution. I was wrong. Yi Zhen looked at Yi Dao with the same surprise. Dad, how could this happen? Didn't you always say that it was Yi Chengzong who stole your shares? The truth is what your uncle Chengzong said just now. I just couldn't bear it, so I said that to the people around me. I wanted to deceive myself and others, but I didn't expect to hurt you. Yi Zhen's eyes were complicated after hearing this. He didn't say anything, but clenched his left hand tightly into a fist. Yi Dao said to Yi Chengzong again, Chengzong, I have admitted my mistakes back then, and I have apologized to you. Please help me, okay? Yi Chengzong was a little moved when he heard Yi Dao admit his mistake. However, Yi Zan said, Dad, don't make a decision in a hurry, just listen to what I have to say. As the saying goes, a dragon begets a dragon, and a phoenix begets a phoenix. Do you think Yi Zhen's character will be better after he grew up under Yi Dao's education? Today is different from the past. There are so many things that awakened people can do. Just now, Yi Zhen kicked our car to a stop. When his ability improves, he will be able to do more things. What do you think will happen to him when he has power above ordinary people? His father, who clearly felt sorry for you back then, could turn into you cheating him under his nonsense. What kind of children can this guy who repays kindness with hatred teach? Speaking of Yi Zhen, it is true that he is responsible for what happened today, but it is also true that I chopped off his hand. Dad, do you think he hates me? If he takes his hand back and has power in the future, will he find a way to take revenge on our family? If he has no hands, I can still compete with him. If he takes his hands back, I can't handle your son. Let's put it this way, if you help him, you are driving your own son to a dead end. Make your own decision. Quote. As soon as Yi Zan said this, Lin Chaoju immediately said, Husband, you must not help this kid. If you dare to help, we will divorce. Yi Chengzong glanced at his wife and said, The child is here, what nonsense are you talking about? Don't worry, I'm not stupid. Today is different from the past. Heroes use force to break the law. A powerful awakened person is indeed too dangerous, let alone an awakened person who is hostile to our family. If you help him, won't you be harming yourself? Let's go. Quote. Yi Dao was so anxious that he knelt on the ground, kowtowed and said, Chengzong, please help me. Unfortunately, Yi Chengzong has been convinced by Yi Zan. Although he has a good heart, he cannot ignore the safety of his family and help Yi Zhen, a dangerous person. Therefore, Yi Chengzong's family left quickly. Yi Chengzong didn't even put down the fruit basket he brought, but took it away again. Yi Taolao burst into tears, watching helplessly as his son lost his right hand and became a disabled person, but he could do nothing about it. He was even the initiator of all this, and he felt extremely regretful. On the other side, at Yi Shui's house, Su Mengli and Yi Shui were chatting. Mengli, after you awaken, you are much more beautiful than before. I wonder if I, sister, will have a chance to awaken again. I don't need any powerful abilities, as long as I can become more temperamental like you. Quote. Su Mengli smiled and said, Sister, you are also very beautiful. I have always thought you are very aura. Yi Shui smiled and said, I know my own affairs best. Sister, I can be called a beauty in front of others, but in front of you, Su Mengli, I am incompetent. After hearing this, Su Mengli was about to say something modestly when the doorbell rang. Yi Shui came to the door, took a look through the peephole and said, Who is it? I'm a teacher from the admissions office of Shuimu University. I came to talk to student Su. Yi Shui frowned slightly, but still opened the door. Then, the middle-aged woman entered Yi Shui's home. She took a brief look, and then walked up to Su Mengli. Student Su, I have a few words. I want to chat with you. Do you have time? Quote. Su Mengli said calmly, If you have anything to say, just say it. After hearing this, the middle-aged woman glanced at Yi Shui and said, These words involve highly confidential matters related to spiritual energy recovery. It is best for us to discuss them alone. After hearing this, Yi Shui said, okay, you guys can talk, I'm going back to the room. After Yi Shui finished speaking, she went directly into her bedroom, leaving the space for Su Mengli and the woman. The middle-aged woman sat down and said to Su Mengli, Student Su, do you have a sufficient understanding of your own potential? Su Mengli shook her head and said, I don't really understand. The middle-aged woman went straight to the point. It can be said that in the future, you will be the top group of awakeners in Great Sha. One decision of yours may change the fate of a city. In the future, you will be a trendsetter in the new era. Thousands of years from now, you may be the kind of person who will be written in textbooks. Do you understand? Quote. Su Mengli said lightly, is it such an exaggeration? This is indeed beyond my imagination. The middle-aged woman continued, this is not an exaggeration at all. In this era, you are destined to be born extraordinary, and the path you take is destined to be different from others. You have to overcome obstacles, and while you have great glory, you also have to bear corresponding responsibilities. If you want to shoulder this responsibility, you must have enough talent. Your friend Yi Zan may be a good person, but in the future you will definitely be from two different worlds. What you are doing now, you may think you are great, but in the eyes of those of us who have experienced it, you characterize it as childish and funny, and it is a completely futile effort. Quote. After hearing this, Su Mengli's expression instantly became indifferent, a vain effort. You are doing it now. I think you can leave. Take your time without seeing me off. The middle-aged woman immediately said, Classmate Su, it is a good thing to repay a favor, but there are many ways to repay a favor. Putting your own future on the line in order to repay a favor is not the behavior of a smart person. I'm not a smart person, you can leave. The middle-aged woman said, You can continue to be stubborn, but I believe that someone will tell Yi Zan how big the gap is between him and you. If he is a smart person, he should know how to choose. After the middle-aged woman finished speaking, she turned around and left. A trace of anger flashed across Su Mengli's face and she said, What do you mean by that? Student Su, you are now a national-level strategic talent. The greater your ability, the greater your responsibility. In order to enable you to shoulder the heavy responsibility in the future, we, the elders, are obliged to help you clear away some unnecessary drag. You don't have to be angry with me. This is not my decision alone, and everything we do is for your own good. I believe you will understand in the future. Quote. After the middle-aged woman finished speaking, she closed the door with a bang and strode away, leaving only Su Mengli with a frown on her face. On the other side, Yi Zan's family had just returned home and received several uninvited guests. These people are members of the admissions office from several universities in the capital. After Yi Chengzong asked them to sit down, he said, Guys, are you here because of Su Mengli's matter? An admissions office teacher smiled and said, Yes, Mr. Yi, you are an adult. Different from these children, you should understand that student Su's behavior is very childish. At the same time, her behavior will not change. Is it the fate of her and your son to drift apart? Yi Chengzong looked at the teacher from the admissions office and said, Do you want me to advise my son to stay away from Su Mengli so as not to eat the swan meat? You can say that. Yi Chengzong slowly shook his head and said, Then I can't do it. If it's just wishful thinking, then I will definitely be willing to beat the Mandarin ducks. But now that they are in love with each other, the man is talented and the woman is beautiful, they are a perfect match. How can you monsters and monsters turn against you? The admissions office teacher smiled and said, Mr. Yi is sharp-tongued, but have you ever thought about what kind of people will be in the Academy of Awakened Persons at Magic City University? The top awakened persons from all over the country. And Su Mengli is even more outstanding among them, but what about your son? A-level talent can only be said to be at an average level. Have you ever thought about what kind of pressure your son will face by then? Su Mengli is so outstanding, do you think she will lack those talented suitors? Young people, full of vigor and impulsive personality, and now is a great era of awakened people. When the time comes, if something like jealousy occurs, it won't be as simple as before, just getting a beating. Some powerful awakened people may kill people if they are not careful. Are you sure you want your son to face such a big danger? Quote. The teacher's words made Yi Chengzong frown. He had also considered these, but he respected his son's wishes and did not dare to think too much about it. Now that these words were spoken by the admissions class teacher, they were like poking his wounds, making him look ugly. Yi Chengzong thought of Yi Dao just now. Yi Dao watched Yi Zhen lying on the hospital bed, but he could do nothing. He couldn't even get the money for the operation. If one day in the future, his son would be maimed or even killed, then what should he do? Lin Chaoju glared at the admissions office teacher and said, "Stop talking nonsense. This country has laws. If they dare to hurt my son, they themselves will not be able to get better." The admissions office teacher turned on his phone, clicked on a few documents, and then said, "These are several documents and policies issued by above. When spiritual energy is revived, the crisis is far greater than the crisis. If it is not handled well, the entire human race may be exterminated. At this time, powerful awakened people are an important force for mankind to resist alien beasts. In the future, awakened people are strictly prohibited from fighting each other and consuming human power. At the same time, once a powerful awakened person breaks the law, the punishment will no longer be imprisonment or even shooting. Instead, they are placed on dangerous front lines to help protect mankind. These people who may harm your son in the future are the best among the awakened ones, the future of mankind. They made mistakes and will face more hardships, but for the sake of the overall situation, nothing will happen to them." Quote. This time, Lin Chaoju was speechless. The couple looked worried and didn't know what to do. Yi Zan looked at the admissions office teachers and said calmly, "Okay, just tell me if you have anything to say. Don't scare my parents. They are old and don't need to be scared." The admissions teacher looked at Yi Zan and said, "Yi Zan, you will be an adult in a few months. You have heard what I said to your parents. I believe you will weigh the pros and cons and make a decision. A choice that benefits you." Yi Zan looked directly into the other person's eyes and said, "You just eat carrots and don't worry about it. I think you are so idle that you come to meddle in other people's business, right?" The admissions office teacher suddenly became angry. "You are so ignorant." Yi Zan said coldly, "Idiot." Several teachers in the admissions office were furious. "Yi Chengzong, this is the good son you teach. Is this how he talks to us teachers?" Yi Chengzong looked at the angry people and laughed. "I think my son is right. You are indeed too idle. Children and grandchildren will have their own blessings. I don't care about these things myself. I don't need you to care about me so much. Son. Care about your son. What we care about is Su Mengli's future. The cultivation resources of awakened people are extremely precious at present. In order to admit Su Mengli, Modu University agreed to Su Mengli's conditions, but such conditions only it will destroy Su Mengli." Another admissions office teacher said, "Yes, the outside world doesn't know that Daxia has formulated a hidden dragon plan for the current batch of awakened people. From all the awakened ones, 100 Qianlong level talents were selected. In the future, Daxia's best resources and latest research will be used on them. Their strength will also be superior to other awakened ones, and the fate of Daxia will be closely related to these people. With Su Mengli's talent and sufficient resources, joining the Qianlong project was a sure thing, but if your son took away half of her resources, the matter would be in doubt. Yi Zan, if you persist in persisting, you will not only harm yourself, but also ruin the future of a genius. Think about it." Quote. After hearing this, Yi Chengzong's expression changed and he said, "Son, you should think about this again." Lin Chaoju also looked at his son and said, "Listen to your father and think about it more." The admissions office teachers looked at the performance of Yi Zan's parents and knew that their goal had been achieved. They looked at each other, smiled at each other, and then left the family. The next morning, Su Mengli came to Yi Zan early. "Did someone come to see you yesterday?" Yi Zan looked at the lovely girl in front of him, nodded and said, "Yes, you have found me." After hearing this, Su Mengli looked at Yi Zan nervously and said, "What did they say?" Yi Zan looked at Su Mengli's nervous look and said slowly, "They said I would ruin your future." Su Mengli's expression changed and she became even more nervous. "Then how did you answer them?" Yi Zan smiled and said, "I said they are so idle that they should stop meddling in their own business." Su Mengli breathed a sigh of relief after hearing this. Sure enough, Yi Zan would never let him down. She was also worried that Yizan would give in to those people just like in those romantic TV dramas, and then say a few sad words, saying that there is a kind of love called letting go, and then leave her for her own good. Now it seems that she thought too much, and Yizan was not that stupid at all. At this time, the system prompt sounded in Yizan's mind. Congratulations to the host, the favorability of the genius Su Mengli has increased to 60 points. The system is being updated, and the update is expected to take 1 hour. Yizan was stunned for a moment when he heard this system prompt. Unexpectedly, Su Mengli's favorability score, which had not been improved for a long time, would increase by 5 points again because of his words, reaching 60 points. But, what does this sudden system update mean? Will there be any new features? At the same time, Yizan also realized that, as expected, the favorability factor was a matter of adversity. Without going through hardships, it would be difficult to raise the favorability level to a very high level. Yizan and Su Mengli had been getting along day and night for more than a month before, but their favorability level had not changed since it reached 55 points. Now, facing the pressure from the admissions office teacher, Yizan just acted very firmly, and his favorability suddenly increased by 5 points, reaching as many as 60 points. If it increases by 10 points, Yizan's talent will be improved again. Yizan also understands why in feudal society, there were so many epic love stories, but in modern times, with free love, this kind of love has become less common. In an era when there is no free love is rare. Couples who fall in love from the wrong family face pressure from all sides. Under this kind of pressure, a couple who are not tolerated by the world can only rely on each other. They rely on each other, share weal and woe, live and die together, and this relationship will appear tragic and great. Because of this, the favorability of Yizan and Su Mengli, which had not improved for a long time, quickly improved after facing the aggressive coercion of the admissions office teacher. The favorability score of 60 points seemed to have undergone some kind of qualitative change. There was something else in Su Mengli's eyes when she looked at Yizan. Originally, her feelings for Yizan may have been immature, but more of it was gratitude. However, from now on, this gratitude has deteriorated. From 2 months ago, when Yizan helped her get through the difficulties, until now, she seems to be soaring into the sky, completely different from before, but Yizan has never changed at all. Yizan has always been worthy of her trust and reliance, and will never let her down. She also silently made a decision in her heart. No matter what the future holds, she will stay by the boy in front of her. The two looked directly at each other, and the communication in their eyes was worth more than 1,000 words. Everything was unspoken. However, just as the two were loving each other, the admissions officer came again. Yizan, we analyzed the pros and cons for you yesterday. I believe you can make the right choice, right? Yi Xuanzheng was in love with his goddess. When he heard these disappointing words, he glanced at the other party impatiently and slowly uttered 2 words, idiot. After hearing this, the admissions office teacher was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Seeing that Su Mengli was also present, he immediately said, Student Su, you should know that we are all here for you, right? Yizan is selfish and does not consider your future, but you should always consider your own future, right? Quote. Su Mengli also turned her head, looked at the admissions office teacher, and said with some stuttering, silly. It wasn't that Su Mengli had any hesitation, but that she had never said this word before, and it was in front of the boy she liked. It was certainly uncomfortable to say such an inelegant word. However, she also wanted to go along with her husband and her wife and resolutely express her position. Therefore, even if the word was not elegant, she still had to say it. Yizan listened to Su Mengli's words and praised, that's good. From now on, you don't have to be polite to these people, and you don't have to argue with them. Just give them this word. Su Mengli nodded vigorously and said, I didn't understand before why you guys like to use this word so much. Now I understand, it is simple and clear, and it is very harmful and insulting. It is perfect to use it on them. Quote. Several admissions office teachers were so angry that they almost vomited blood as they listened to Yizan and Su Mengli singing. They could only say one harsh word, you will regret it. Then, they left quickly. Then, Su Mengli and Yizan looked at each other and smiled. Su Mengli said, by the way, I heard that the Awakened College starts much earlier than other colleges. Yizan nodded and said, I've also heard that the regular college starts in September and the Awakened College starts in July, and there is only less than a month of vacation. Su Mengli asked curiously, how could it happen so fast? Yizan looked at the sky and said, the world has changed. We, the awakened ones, must grow up as soon as possible. Of course we cannot have such a long vacation. Next, Yizan and Su Mengli came to the yard. Since they had nothing to do, Su Mengli also tested his abilities. And Yizan also saw the horror of Su Mengli's talent. It was only in the early stages of awakening, and it hadn't even been trained yet, and the development level was only about 1%. She was able to use her thoughts to create phantoms of flame beasts to attack, and the attack power was very strong. The last time Su Guodong was set on fire, Su Mengli didn't use real fire at all. If he had used his true strength, Su Guodong would have been gone. Now testing in the villa yard, Yizan saw Su Mengli controlling a fire phoenix to attack. The fire phoenix was extremely fast and arrived in an instant, impacting the ground and directly creating a fire pit with a diameter of more than 1 meter. The flame lasted for several minutes before it went out. The flame burned the surrounding soil into a magma state. With Yizan's current strength, he really couldn't withstand Su Mengli's blow. Time passed little by little, and finally, the system prompt sounded in Yizan's mind. The system update is complete, and the host can view the latest features. Yizan was very curious about the new functions of the system. He asked Su Mengli to continue to exercise his abilities, while he entered the bathroom and looked at his attribute panel. Host: Yizan. Talent: A-level indestructible Vajra body awakened. Genius list: Su Mengli main. Talent: SSS level karmic fire red lotus awakened. Favorability: 60. Note: the main genius is unique. You can get talent bonuses by increasing your favorability. You can get different rewards by completing interactive tasks. Qin Heng Deputy. Talent: S-level sword driving awakened. Favorability: 35. Note: there is no limit to the number of deputy geniuses, and you can get different rewards by increasing your favorability. Task list: watching a movie. Let's watch a touching love movie with Su Mengli. Mission status: unfinished. Mission reward: dual repair card. When Yizan saw the words, double repair card, he had some evil thoughts in his heart. But when he put his mind on this pair of repair cards, he was suddenly disappointed. Dual cultivation card. Double cultivation card, referred to as dual cultivation card. When the host and Su Mengli practice together, the practice efficiency of both parties is doubled, and it is valid for 7 days. It turned out to be such a dual repair card. Yizan felt that this dual repair card was not bad. At present, it seems that this task list will be refreshed in real time, and the task difficulty is not very difficult. If you can complete tasks from time to time, you can get some dual repair cards. Then, when Su Mengli is with him, not only will her strength not be held back by him, but she will improve faster. In this case, those teachers in the admissions office who said that Yizan would hold back Su Mengli were just bullshit. Later, Yizan went to the courtyard excitedly and saw a teacher from the admissions office of Modu University there. After Yizan came out, the teacher said, Yizan, come here too. Yizan walked over and said, what's wrong? The teacher said, it's like this. According to the above policies, all major universities will conduct 1-month training for all awakened persons above level A. After 1 month, school will resume normally. Will you participate? Yizan was also quite surprised. No wonder he never saw Su Mengli again after finishing the college entrance examination in his previous life. It turned out that she went to university at that time. This month's so-called training was for A-level awakened people and was kept secret. Therefore, Yizan in his previous life didn't know about it. He thought that everyone was the same and that school started in July. This month of Xiaozhao is enough to create a certain gap between A-level and above awakened people and other ordinary awakened people. In addition, the gap between their own talents will only increase in the future. Yizan naturally couldn't miss such an opportunity. He said directly, of course I want to participate. Okay, later you and Su will sign a confidentiality agreement. Tomorrow, we will set off together to the Magic City. As soon as the teacher said these words, Su Mengli's eyes flashed with confusion, it was too fast. She had just finished testing her talent, and the other students had not yet finished their college entrance examinations, so she was about to go to the Magic City. When Yizan saw it, he took Su Mengli's slender hand in his and said, "Don't think too much, I'm with you." After hearing this, Su Mengli said immediately, "Yes, you are here, there is nothing to worry about." When the teacher saw it, he frowned slightly and said, "Although love is not prohibited in our Mordu University, you'd better restrain yourself in front of me as a teacher. Okay, your college entrance examination holiday is only one day, so cherish it." In fact, the admissions office teacher in Magic City also disapproved of Yizan and Su Mengli being together. Only, in their opinion, if they take the initiative to destroy this couple, they will only do a thankless job. It is better to let them develop. After all, the two of them are not a good match. When they arrive at the Academy of Awakeners of Shanghai University, the gap between the two will be clearly reflected and they will become polarized. By then, they will be divided internally without any external pressure. Afterwards, the admissions office teacher left, and Su Mengli sighed, "I only have one day off." Yizan smiled and said, "Yes, one day is too short. What can I do?" Su Mengli suddenly said, "How about we go watch a movie together?" Yi Xuanzheng got what he wanted, so he said directly, "Okay, I'll book the ticket now." After a while, the tickets were booked, and Yizan said, "The tickets are for 7 o'clock in the evening, and we will go see them together then." Su Mengli nodded happily. At this moment, Yizan thought of the winged tiger, Hu Fei. Without Yizan's interference, Su Mengli would have been competed by major universities after testing his amazing talent. In addition to receiving the amazing reward, Su Mengli also received another reward, which was a pet tiger, Fly. This was something she proposed on her own initiative, and the university agreed. Hu Fei is a beast that is controllable by humans and can be raised by the awakened. And Su Mengli's talent was so high, the relevant departments naturally betrayed the university's reputation. But in this life, Su Mengli was cared for by the Yi family and was not as lonely as in her previous life. She would not place her feelings on a tiger that looked very similar to the cat she had when she was a child. In addition, the condition she proposed was to obtain the treatment of an S-class genius for Yizan. This was already an excessive condition, and she would naturally not mention Hu Fei again. Yizan had no idea in this regard. Hu Fei was too weak. Being Su Mengli's pet would only hold her back. In the future, I will help her tame a more powerful battle pet. It is not only beautiful and charming, but also has strong combat capabilities. Only such a battle pet is worthy of Mengli. At around 6 o'clock, Yizan and Su Mengli came to the cinema. The movie Yizan chose was a youth movie that had recently received good reviews. The plot is generally okay, a little draggy and deliberately sensational. Yizan felt normal, but girls were very fond of this. Su Mengli's eyes were red and she secretly wiped her tears several times. Yizan's mind was not on the movie, he was more thinking about getting closer to Mengli. Now, Su Mengli has been tested for her amazing talent and is regarded as a favorite by major universities. With her talent, she can easily have many things that she never dared to think of before. She no longer needs to rely on the Yi family or Yizan. On the contrary, as long as she is given a little time to grow up, the Yi family will need to rely on her. In this situation, Yizan took the initiative to attack, no longer taking advantage of others' danger, but pursuing the victory. Halfway through the movie, Yizan seized the opportunity, covered Su Mengli's slender and beautiful palm with his hand, and held it tightly. He originally thought that Su Mengli would be shy and dodge. However, this time Su Mengli was not so shy and timid. This is a movie theater. There are no lights in the auditorium and it's pitch black. Even if you do something, as long as you don't stage a live erotic palace, no one will notice at all. As for Su Mengli, maybe it was because of her own talent that she had a certain amount of capital, which made her feel that she was no longer good at anything except beauty and could be worthy of Yizan. In fact, if Yizan had held hands 2 minutes later, Su Mengli might have taken the initiative. She was already looking forward to this scene, so how could she dodge? After Yizan held Su Mengli's hand, Su Mengli immediately turned from defense to attack, spreading her fingers and interlocking with Yizan's fingers. Their fingers were clasped tightly together, and their eyes met. Su Mengli's face was a little red, but she did not dodge, but looked at Yizan boldly. At this moment, Yizan and Su Mengli had no one else in their eyes but each other. Their hands were clasped together, as if they owned the whole world. The huge sense of satisfaction and happiness in their hearts made them so happy that they were unaware of the passage of time. Su Mengli was still moved by the plot at first, but then her thoughts were not on the plot at all. The so-called youthful and sad movies, after holding hands with Yizan, there is no sadness at all. Because the boy around her had tried his best to protect her, so that her youth was no longer sad and she had no regrets. Before they knew it, the movie was over. Yizan and Su Mengli were not thinking about the movie, but they still had some unfinished thoughts. The two of them waited for a moment, waiting until the others were almost gone, and then they held hands and walked out of the cinema together. At this time, it was already past 9 o'clock. Yizan looked at the stars in the sky and said, "Mengli, let's walk home together." "Yeah," Su Mengli said happily. She doesn't want to get home so soon now, she just wants to hold hands with Yizan and go on forever. The moonlight and starlight shone on the two of them, making the figure of the boy and girl a bit dreamy. The distance from the cinema to home is not far, but they are not tired at all, but in high spirits. However, when they were passing through a small alley, a figure suddenly stopped the two of them. The other person held a pistol in his hand and said coldly, "You two little beasts, I finally caught you. Hold your heads with both hands and give me squat down." This voice was very familiar to Yizan and Su Mengli. Yizan's expression changed. He immediately took a step forward, blocked Su Mengli behind him, and said, "Zhang Hai, is it you, an old dog? What do you think? What to do?" Zhang Hai said ferociously, "What do you think I want to do? You are the boyfriend of this little idiot Su Mengli, right? I want to love her in front of you and kill this little fool. Kneel down for me." Quote. As soon as Zhang Hai said these words, Yizan said angrily, "You are looking for death." Yizan said, and he rushed towards Zhang Hai. Zhang Hai was also a ruthless character. With a bang, Zhang Hai shot directly. Yizan's ability has just been awakened, and his ability is not good at speed, so it is not easy to dodge bullets. Besides, if he dodged the bullet, then Su Mengli would be the one injured. Naturally, Yizan couldn't let his beloved woman get hurt. He just moved his body slightly and avoided the vital point. The bullet directly hit his shoulder, causing his body to stagger slightly. Blood spurted out from Yizan's shoulder. For an ordinary person, if the bullet entered his body, he would immediately lose his ability to fight. However, Yizan's will was like steel. He staggered slightly, rushed to Zhang Hai at a faster speed, and then slapped the gun in Zhang Hai's hand. The gun was shot dozens of meters away by Yizan, and fell heavily to the ground, turning into a pile of parts. Zhang Hai's hand was also shot in pain. All this sounds troublesome, but in fact, from Yizan being shot to Zhang Hai's gun being shot away, it all happened in an instant. Although Su Mengli was highly talented, she did not have Yizan's combat awareness and reaction speed. She did not react until the battle was over, and nervously ran to Yizan's side. She could see at a glance that Yizan's shoulder was bleeding profusely, and the bullet had entered Yizan's shoulder. Su Mengli looked at the bullet hole on Yizan's shoulder, tears streaming down her face, and said hurriedly, "How are you? Let's go to the hospital quickly, okay?" Yizan's Vajra indestructible body was, after all, too lowly developed. It was only at a 1% level. It was impossible to carry a firearm by force. With his own will, he still knocked away Zhang Hai's gun after being shot, but he was indeed injured. At this moment, the crisis was over, and he sat directly on the ground, his shoulders hurting. Su Mengli saw Yizan falling and hurriedly supported Yizan. At this moment, Zhang Hai showed a hint of cruelty in his eyes and ran quickly towards the position of his firearm. Su Mengli saw this scene. She covered the wound on Yizan's shoulder with her hands, but the blood still continued to flow out, making her hands red. The blood of her beloved boy made her hands sticky and her heart became hot and angry as a volcano erupting. She looked at Zhang Hai, gritted her teeth and said, "Go to hell." Next, a blood-red lotus phantom appeared around Su Mengli, and then the lotus phantom rushed directly towards Zhang Hai. The farther away the lotus shadow was from Su Mengli, the more solid it became and the larger it became. By the time it rushed in front of Zhang Hai, it had turned into a flaming lotus with a diameter of more than 10 meters. The fire lotus swallowed up Zhang Hai's body instantly. Only half a scream was heard, and Zhang Hai completely disappeared. The flames lasted for 2 or 3 minutes before they were extinguished. Zhang Hai's body was completely burnt to ashes. The surrounding ground was also carbonized and cracked due to the high temperature, which showed how strong Su Mengli was. At this moment, Su Mengli's face was slightly pale. Obviously, this move consumed a lot of her energy, and it was considered a big move at this stage. After dealing with Zhang Hai, Su Mengli hurriedly called the ambulance, and then used her own clothes to help Yizan stop the bleeding. Her eyes were full of tears, and she cried like a tearful person. Yizan grabbed Su Mengli's hand and said, "Don't worry, I'm fine. Don't forget, you and I are both awakened ones. My ability is reflected in defense. Ordinary people are shot in the shoulder, and their lives are not in danger. Not to mention me." Su Mengli sobbed and said, "I just regret it. Why didn't I stand in front of you just now?" Yizan smiled and said, "I am a manly man, and it is not my style to let women stand in front of me. Besides, I am thick-skinned, so it will be fine if I get shot. You, who have thin skin and tender flesh, will be injured a lot. It hurts." Su Mengli said nothing and continued to cover Yizan's wound to stop it from bleeding. Ding! Congratulations to the host. Su Mengli's favorability has increased to 70 points, and the talent bonus can be applied once. Do you want to add it? Yizan heard the system prompt and immediately said, "Yes. Congratulations to the host. The A-level Vajra indestructible body has been upgraded to the S-level Dragon Elephant Prison Suppressing body." Yizan was quite happy when he saw the system prompt. He finally had an S-level talent. S-level talent means that Yizan can truly be regarded as one of the geniuses. Even if he is still A-level in the eyes of outsiders, it doesn't matter. In the future, they will understand that Yizan, an A-level person, is a different A-level person. Dragon Elephant Prison Suppressing Physique. This physique, Yizan had never heard of in his previous life, but Yizan was able to see how powerful this physique was through the system. Dragon Elephant Prison Suppressing Body. The ultimate power, crushing everything. For every 1% increase in power development, you will gain the power of an elephant. For every 10% increase in development, you will gain the power of a dragon. The ability is developed to the extreme, 10 dragons and hundreds of elephants, protecting the road and suppressing the prison, unparalleled. Yizan was also very moved when he saw the explanation of this power. This power can be said to be pure power, capable of defeating all laws. Of course, this so-called ultimate power is definitely an exaggeration. This so-called ultimate power means that at the S-level stage, it represents the ultimate power, and no other superpower can match it. Even with such limitations, this ability is quite terrifying. Yizan now has the power of an elephant. He feels like he can send a car flying with just a slap. This is quite terrifying power. Although the Dragon Elephant Prison Suppressing body is extremely powerful and not good at defense, its elephant-like body also makes him stronger in recovery. At this moment, he felt itchy at the wound on his shoulder, and the muscles at the wound were squirming. The powerful muscles squeezed out the bullets that had been injected into the body little by little. Before the ambulance arrived, there was only a crisp sound and the bullet fell from the wound and landed on the ground. Su Mengli was also stunned for a moment, and then saw the deformed bullet head on the ground. "What's going on?" Yizan explained. "My ability worked and the bullet was squeezed out. Let's go back and simply bandage it. I don't think there is a need to go to the hospital." But Su Mengli was still worried about Yizan's health. Yizan said, "Mengli, the awakened one has just appeared, and there has been a lot of controversy. Although we are passively defending today, if this matter becomes big, I am afraid that public opinion will be unfavorable to you. Let's go, ambulance over there, let me call and explain." After Yizan finished speaking, he stood up directly. With the power of an elephant, his body recovered directly, and there was no big abnormality in his body at all. Su Mengli was quite dependent on Yizan, so she still listened to Yizan's words and left with Yizan. As for Zhang Hai, he had turned into ashes and scattered them on the earth. As long as Yizan and Su Mengli don't tell anyone, no one will know that a person has died here, so let him just disappear with the wind. The recovery ability of the dragon elephant prison body is unparalleled. The next morning, Yi Zan's wound only had a shallow scar, which did not affect normal activities at all. This time, the special training prepared by Shanghai University in advance, Yi Zan Yu can also participate normally. As for Yi Zan, he also has some understanding of the task system of the system update. The task system arranged by the system will only arrange one task at a time. After the task is completed, the system will randomly arrange tasks from time to time. If the task cannot be completed, the task will continue to be retained until it is completed. After Yi Zan returned home yesterday, he received a double training card reward. And this morning, when I woke up, the mission was updated again. Shopping. Magic City is an international metropolis, why not take a stroll around with the future empress? Mission rewards. According to the mood of the empress, the better the mood of the empress, the more precious the reward. When Yi Zan saw this mission, he felt that his reputation would be harmed by this broken system. Various colleges and universities themselves are very dissatisfied with Yi Zan, thinking that Yi Zan is a pheasant paired with a phoenix, and they have taken away the resources of Su Mengli, a super genius. After arriving in the Magic City, I took Su Mengli shopping around, and did not miss the business. I guess Yi Zan will become a thorn in the eyes of these people. But there is no other way. Sharpening the knife is as good as chopping wood. Just relying on the double training card is enough to make up for Su Mengli's training efficiency. Take it easy when it's time to relax. In the past, Mengli suffered too much, but seeing her fate change, she immediately had to fight for humanity, and eventually even died on the battlefield. Although such a life is great, it is not perfect for Su Mengli. Yi Zan wants to change her destiny. Immediately, Yi Zan and Su Mengli said goodbye to their families, and then took the high-speed train to Magic City with teachers from Magic City University. It's a long distance from Zhongcheng to Magic City, so flying is actually a better choice. Unfortunately, since the recovery of spiritual energy, the probability of plane accidents has been much higher than before. There have been many cases of large birds and alien beasts attacking planes, causing plane crashes. Now, all major airlines are gradually reducing flights, and it is expected that all major airlines may close their doors within a year. On the train, Yi Zan also met an old friend, Qin Heng. Like his previous life, he chose Shanghai University. Qin Heng was sitting in the car carelessly, looking like a prodigal in love. However, after seeing Su Mengli, he suddenly sat upright and his posture changed. He looked polite and said, "Beauty, are you also a student of the Academy of Awakeners at Magic University?" "Hey, why is it you?" Yi Zan smiled and said, "Why can't it be me? Mengli, let me introduce to you. This is Aunt Wei's son, Qin Heng. This is my girlfriend, Su Mengli." Although Yi Zan admired Qin Heng very much, he was also a little wary of this boy. After all, this boy's ability is to control a sword. He can use the sword to ride on the wind and slay demons in the world. This ability is very handsome. In his previous life, Qin Heng was the S-level awakened person with the most female fans, while Su Mengli was the SSS-level awakened person with the most male fans. There are quite a lot of gossips who have implicated the two of them and said that they are a secret couple. Yi Zan knew that these were nonsense, but he still felt that Qin Heng was a little threatened, so he simply pointed out the relationship directly and dismissed Qin Heng's thoughts. After hearing Yi Zan's words, Qin Heng suddenly said in an exaggerated tone, "She is your girlfriend. Is she really fake? Even pigs can eat such good cabbage." Yi Zan immediately cursed, "Your sister, you are a pig." Qin Heng suddenly lowered his voice and said, "By the way, I heard that among the awakened people in the Demon City University this time, there is an A-level ability user. I heard that he entered the Demon City University through his girlfriend. This ability to eat soft food is really awesome. When that kid comes later, let's make fun of him." Quote. A black line appeared on Yi Zan's brow, and he didn't know what to say. At this moment, a teacher from Modu University came over and said, "Okay, we're all here, just waiting to set off." Qin Heng said directly, "What about the A-level guy who relies on his girlfriend? I heard that he relies on his girlfriend and enjoys higher treatment than RS-level geniuses. I haven't met this guy yet. Isn't he going to participate in this meeting? Special training?" There was a strange expression on the face of the teacher from Shanghai University. Yizan also glared at Qin Heng and said, "Shut up, the A-level you are talking about is me." Qin Heng was stunned after hearing this, and then laughed. "So you are only A-level, you are really weak, brother, I am an S-level swordsman. Are you awesome or not? Call me brother." Quote. Yizan looked at this guy's idiotic look and cursed. "Believe it or not, my A-level will beat your S-level." Qin Heng immediately said, "I don't believe it." Yizan smiled and said, "Okay, let's give it a try when we get to Modu University and let you taste the fist as big as a sandbag." Qin Heng reached out and patted Yizan's shoulder and said, "Brother, the gap between A-level and S-level is as big as the difference in appearance between you and me. Stop struggling, call me brother, wait until you get to the Devil Duda University, I'll protect you." Yizan said harshly, "Haha, I will definitely beat you to the point of calling you brother this time." Several teachers from Shanghai University looked at each other with faint smiles in their eyes. They could tell from the conversation between Yizan and Qin Heng that Yizan was also a master who refused to accept weakness. Such a character was not a problem in itself. However, he himself was only A-level, but he refused to give in to those awakened people with S-level talents, and even dared to provoke a fight. The teachers were very sure that Yizan would suffer a lot when he arrived at Shanghai University. It was a double torture, both physically and mentally. The stronger Su Mengli became, the more humiliated and helpless Su Mengli would become. Soon, Yizan would probably escape from Shanghai University. More than 6 hours later, the group finally arrived at the Magic City railway station. The surrounding area was crowded with people and bustling. The school arranged a minibus to pick them up, and Su Mengli looked surprised. This was her first time in this international metropolis, and she was full of interest in everything around her. Yizan was also the same. Although before his rebirth, Yizan and Su Mengli also participated in the battle to defend the Magic City, but that was already 20 years later. The Magic City at that time was 10 times more deserted than it is now, completely different from now. Sitting on the bus, Qin Heng said to Yizan, "Brother, please call me brother now, and our competition will be eliminated. I'm afraid that if you lose, you will go to my mother to complain." Yizan immediately said, "Don't worry, you will only be the loser." Qin Heng was equally excited. "Good boy, are you still so competitive with your brothers? Okay, then I will satisfy you." Half an hour later, the minibus arrived at the new campus of Modu University. This is a newly built campus of Modu University, specially built for the Academy of Awakeners. Not long after the signs of spiritual energy recovery appeared, even the exclusive campus of the Academy of Awakeners appeared, and Daxia was worthy of being called an infrastructure madman. The group of people got out of the car, and the leading teacher led the three of them to a large lecture theater. Afterwards, the teacher leading the team said, "Okay, you can introduce yourselves, because we are the Awakened Academy here, so everyone just needs to focus on introducing their talents." Then, Qin Heng was the first to take the stage and said, "Hello everyone, I am Qin Heng, and my talent is S-level sword driving. I hope we can get along well." The number of students recruited by the Academy of Awakeners at Modu University are B-level or S-level and above, and they are mainly A-level talents. Qin Heng's talent is already pretty good. Immediately, Su Mengli came on stage and said, "Hello everyone, I am Su Mengli." As soon as Su Mengli came on stage, the students in the audience were shocked. The boys below all had their eyes wide open. Even the girls were stunned. How could there be such a beautiful girl? Everyone has a high tolerance for beautiful women. Therefore, although Su Mengli behaved coldly and did not even talk about her talent, the students still applauded enthusiastically. The leading teacher said, "Students, the reason why Su did not explain her talent is because her talent is above S level. Ordinary awakening spirit balls cannot test her talent level. Her specific talent, we will arrange a test later to determine her grade." Now, everyone is even more uproar. She looks like a fairy and has at least an S-level talent. Is this the legendary proud daughter of heaven? Su Mengli today is completely different from what she was in high school. Although she was beautiful in high school, her grades were average and she was also ostracized. But now, she has both talent and appearance. She is the well-deserved goddess of the Awakened Academy of Shanghai University. People will only look up to her and fawn over her instead of ostracizing her. Finally, it was Yizan's turn. In fact, Yi Zan knew that the reason why he introduced his talents this time was to target him, humiliate him, and make him feel ashamed. It's a pity that Yi Zan is only A-level on the surface, but in fact he is already an S-level dragon elephant prison suppressing body. He doesn't feel inferior or uncomfortable at all. He came on stage openly. Hello everyone, my name is Yi Zan, and my talent is A-level indestructible Vajra body. As soon as Yi Zan said this, the audience was in a commotion. Before coming to the academy, they had already heard that there were 2 geniuses in the entire academy who received extraordinary treatment. One was Su Mengli and the other was Yi Zan. Everyone can understand that Su Mengli's talent is above S level, and she enjoys dozens of times the resources and treatment of ordinary people. How could they not be surprised that he was just an A-level person with defensive abilities and no special abilities? He was enjoying such high treatment. A boy stood up and said, "Teacher, I want to know why Yi Zan, a student with A-level talent, enjoys such high treatment." The teacher leading the team pretended to be a little embarrassed and said, "Yi Zan's talent is indeed not equal to his treatment, but this is what Su Mengli strongly requested." In order to recruit a genius like Su, the Awakening Academy had to make compromises, and Yi Zan was also a special case. Quote, as soon as the leading teacher said this, Yi Zan felt that many students' eyes were on him. Their expressions varied, some were mocking, some were jealous, and some were pitiful. Yi Zan actually shouldn't care about their attitudes, but don't forget that among these people, there are many S-level awakened people, and these people are all Yi Zan's mission targets. As long as they are in a slightly friendly state and have 30 points of favorability, Yi Zan can draw a prize from them and get some rewards. The Lingalingchi pig killing knife last time was quite powerful. Therefore, if these people are hostile at the beginning, it will not be conducive to Yi Zan's rewards in the future. Thinking of Qin Heng's words before, Yi Zan decided to do something to at least change these people's views. Then, Yi Zan stood up and said, "Teacher, you must have heard the conversation between Qin Heng and I on the bus just now. I want to have a fight with him here, okay?" The teacher leading the team looked at Yi Zan and said, "Do you really want to fight? Although your ability development is very low, the gap between A-level and S-level is huge." Yi Zan got straight to the point. "Isn't this what you expected? Okay, let's fight then. Let's change places and go to the martial arts arena. If you are interested, you can go and see it together. We are all young people, how can we not join in the fun?" Therefore, hundreds of students followed and went to the martial arts field to join in the fun. Qin Heng came on the stage. He pulled out an iron sword from his back and said, "Brother, you have to be careful. Although my sword is not edged, its lethality is not weak." Yi Zan said calmly, "You can come, I can handle it." Next, Qin Heng directly used his own ability, and the iron sword in his hand rushed towards Yi Zan at an extremely fast speed. As an S-level ability, Yujian is indeed not weak, especially when the ability is developed to a certain extent. You can use a variety of powerful moves, combined with some magical weapons made of special materials. The lethality is off the charts, but Yujian's early strength is, which is a bit low. As for Yi Zan's dragon elephant prison suppressing body, as the ultimate power of S-level abilities, it has gradually been fully developed since its initial awakening and has been in a strong period, completely capable of crushing Yujian. Although the speed of the iron sword was not slow, Yi Zan still caught the trajectory. Then, Yi Zan punched it forward hard. Only a loud snap was heard, and Qin Heng's sword was slapped by Yi Zan. Terrifying force burst out, and Qin Heng's sword was stabbed directly towards the ground. Under the slap of Yi Zan's power, most of the sword blade was inserted into the cement floor of the martial arts arena. Qin Heng's expression also changed, and he immediately tried to use his ability to pull out the sword embedded in the cement. I saw Qin Heng's iron sword trembling, causing some cracks in the cement, and he was about to escape. However, Yi Zan slapped it again. This time, the entire sword and its hilt were slapped into the cement floor. Qin Heng was stunned. The entire sword was knocked into the cement floor. With his 1% ability development speed, he was unable to control the iron sword to break through the ground at this moment. He looked at Yi Zan in shock and said, "Why are you so strong? Is this A-level?" The audience in the audience also had the same idea as Qin Heng, "Is this A-level? How can it be?" Yi Zan could feel that the hostility in the eyes of the people around him was much less, replaced by admiration and surprise. These young people really can't bear to see others going through the back door and eating soft food, but if Yi Zan has the corresponding ability, there will be nothing to say. This is what Yi Zan wants. If he performs like this, it will be easy to make friends with them in the future. With a little bit of favorability, he can reach 30. When the time comes, he will have a good time in the lottery. Immediately, Yi Zan said to Qin Heng, "Didn't I say it? My level is different from what you imagined." Yi Zan said, and stepped down hard. His strength was comparable to that of an elephant at the peak of his adult life. However, his body is much smaller than that of an elephant, and the pressure is equal to the pressure divided by the contact area. Therefore, the destructive power Yi Zan can release is actually far greater than that of an elephant. Yi Zan's kick caused a 30-meter-long crack to break out in the concrete arena. The scene was extremely horrifying. Of course, this was not the fault of Yi Zan alone. Qin Heng had previously manipulated the iron sword and tried to use the shock ability to pull out the iron sword, which had already damaged part of the structure of the cement floor. Coupled with the damage caused by the iron sword piercing the cement floor, plus Yi Zan's kick, it combined to create such a shocking scene. As for such destructive power, Su Mengli, an SSS-level awakener, can achieve this, but others cannot do this at all. Therefore, with this kick, the people in the audience looked at Yi Zan with even more admiration. They can't do this kind of destructive power on their own, so people like this need to go through the back door. Need a soft meal. A liar, right? Immediately, Yi Zan picked up the iron sword, threw it to Qin Heng, and said, "Do you want to fight again? If you want to admit defeat, call me brother." Qin Heng looked at the cracked concrete arena, swallowed his saliva, and said honestly, "Brother." Yi Zan smiled, and then said to the teacher leading the team, "Teacher, I'm so sorry that I damaged the arena. You won't let me compensate you, right?" The teacher leading the team was stunned for a moment, then said, "No need. How on earth did you do it?" Yi Zan said lightly, "Is there anything difficult about this?" Yi Zan had a good smile on his face, because there were already more than 20 people in his friend list, all of whom were S-level awakeners. Their favorability basically ranges from 10 to 20. It is estimated that Yi Zan can raise the favorability to more than 30 with a little effort and enter the lottery. And for Yi Zan, there is another surprise. Qin Heng's favorability level has increased to 50. Qin Heng had a good relationship with Yi Zan before, with an initial favorability score of 35. After getting along for a while, they reached 45, and they were considered good friends. This time the two of them fought in the ring. Although Qin Heng lost, he was not a petty person. After losing, he called Yi Zan brother, which made him recognize Yi Zan as a friend even more. Therefore, the favorability level has increased to 50, and a lottery can be conducted. Later, Yi Zan said silently in his heart, "The system will conduct a lottery. Congratulations to the host, you have received the reward Witch Cloak." When Yi Zan heard the system prompt, he was stunned for a moment. Witch Cloak? Is it the Witch Cloak in my imagination? His mind was placed in the reward column of the system, and a blue-purple cloak that looked deep and mysterious was quietly placed there. Focusing on the Witch Cloak, Yi Zan also sensed its ability, a powerful defensive equipment. After equipped, it can provide the host with a large amount of life bonus and spell defense, and at the same time obtain a weapon that can offset spells. The damage shield is invisible to the naked eye and refreshes every 24 hours. Sure enough, it is the Witch Cloak from King of Glory, but it has been weakened a lot. The shield that was originally obtained 3 seconds after expansion has become refreshed every 24 hours, and even so, it is very powerful. In many battles between awakened ones, a single oversight determines the outcome. Not to mention the health bonus and spell defense brought by the Witch's Cloak, the shield alone that can offset spell damage is incredible. In the future, with this Witch Cloak, Yi Zan will have an absolute advantage when facing elemental power users. At least until their ability development exceeds 10%, there will be no threat to Yi Zan. Su Mengli was not surprised by Yi Zan's victory. On the bus, Yi Zan said that he was absolutely sure, and that was indeed the case. Yi Zan would never let her down. Afterwards, the group returned to the lecture theater, and the leading teacher Zhou Cheng said, "Okay, everyone, be quiet for a moment. Next, I would like to invite the dean of our Academy of Awakeners, Lyn Shu. Then, a middle-aged man with a stern expression entered the ring. He looked at the students in the audience and said, I am Lyn Shu. I won't talk nonsense anymore. Let's get straight to the point. People's talents are innate, but their efforts are determined by themselves. Your progress in the next month will also determine the cultivation resources you can obtain in the next year. There are 2 ways for awakened people to improve their ability development. The first is to walk on the edge of life and death and break through their own limits. The ability development will be greatly improved every time. The progress is fast and no resources are needed. The disadvantage is death. Be quick. The second method is to absorb spiritual stones to increase the development of spiritual power. This method is slower, but it is more reliable. If you are interested, you can try both methods. By the way, I awakened independently, and the way I improve is mainly based on the first method. Quote. As soon as Lyn Shu said these words, the students in the audience were all shocked. He was walking on the edge of life and death and improving himself in this way. This is a cruel person. Everyone looked at Lyn Shu's eyes and felt a little fearful unconsciously. Yi Zan's expression did not change. He knew that Lyn Shu was indeed a ruthless person, and his ability development rate exceeded 95% in later generations. 90% of them were obtained through hard work of life and death, but his method was not suitable for others. Because Lyn Shu's ability is an SS-level immortal demonic body. This ability has a very terrifying recovery ability, and even broken limbs can be restored. At the same time, during the battle, the more serious the injury, the stronger the combat effectiveness, and the own strength and speed recovery ability will be doubled, and the more you fight, the braver you will become. Unless he was killed instantly, he would be consumed sooner or later. In his previous life, Lyn Shu died before the Battle of the Magic City. Lyn Shu was an SS-level ability user, and he became stronger as he fought. His role on the battlefield was not much smaller than that of Su Mengli. Therefore, before the alien beasts invaded the demon city, high-level alien beasts with the ability to transform were arranged to assassinate Su Mengli and Lyn Shu. Su Mengli has always been aloof and has no friends. The other party transformed into a senior member of the Magic City Guards and said that he wanted to discuss the protection of the Magic City with Su Mengli. Su Mengli glanced at the other party, and the Karma Red Lotus fired with full firepower, burning the other party to the ground. After that, Su Mengli didn't even raise her eyelids and said coldly, "No one has ever discussed any protection matters with me." Su Mengli only focused on developing her own abilities and improving her combat effectiveness. She never raised any opinions on strategic matters. She would do whatever was arranged from above. Suddenly someone came to her to discuss countermeasures. Of course she knew there was a problem. But Lyn Shu was not so lucky. The alien beast transformed into Lyn Shu's student and came to drink with Lyn Shu. Lyn Shu was good in other places. His only shortcoming was that he loved drinking. In addition, the 2 alien beasts that transformed into human forms were his trump card among the alien beasts. Before that, there had never been any precedent for alien beasts that could turn into humans. Therefore, Lyn Shu fell into the trap. He was so drunk that he completely lost consciousness and fell asleep. After that, the alien beast that transformed into a human form got Lyn Shu's saber, and then chopped off Lyn Shu's head. Lyn Shu's sword, called the Whale-Tooth Sword, was made from the teeth of the world-destroying dragon whale that destroyed the island nation. After the world-destroying dragon whale destroyed the island country, it brought a group of alien beasts and was ready to attack Daxia. Finally, Daxia arranged for a few masters to fight with the world-destroying dragon whale. One of the teeth of the world-destroying dragon whale was knocked out. Most of them have been honest for a long time. This saber was made from the teeth of the world-destroying dragon whale. It was extremely sharp and was Lyn Shu's favorite weapon. And with the strength of this knife, when Lyn Shu was unprepared, Lyn Shu couldn't bear the blow with one strike. After his head was chopped off, he put it in a wine jar and was taken back to the alien beast's base camp. However, the matter did not end there. Lyn Shu, who lost his head, did not die immediately. Although the immortal demon body cannot make him grow a new head, it can prevent him from dying immediately after losing his head. He was like the ancient war god Xingtian, with his breasts as eyes and navel as his mouth. His neck was like a fountain, constantly spurting blood, and then he rushed towards the base camp of the alien beast. The body without a head is chasing his own head. Because of his superpower, he gets stronger as he fights. After losing his head, his blood surges like a fountain. His combat power is off the charts and his lethality is terrifying. Countless alien beasts have been torn apart by him. They were skinned alive until the water in the East China Sea was dyed red. And his head, under the severe pain, also regained consciousness in the wine jar, and his head did not sit still and wait for death. With his head alone, he crashed into the humanoid beast, knocking the opponent's head off with his own head. After that, the head replaced the original head, controlling the body, and moved closer to his own body. His head and body fought for 3 days and nights in the alien beast's base camp, constantly getting closer to each other, just like the legendary cowherd and weaver girl, using the blood of the alien beast to pave a road to the Magpie Bridge. Unfortunately, it was too late for his head and body to merge. 3 days and 3 nights were the limit of his vitality. 1 minute before his head and body were about to meet, his body and head completely lost their activity and fell to the ground, ending this tragic life. According to incomplete statistics, the number of strange beasts he killed and injured before his death totaled 300,000. This was a super ruthless man. Therefore, Yi Zan also admired the other party very much. At this moment, Lyn Shu, although he is not yet a super strong man in the future, but as an independent awakener and a pioneer of awakeners, his strength is far above that of other students. Lyn Shu looked at the odd eyes of the students below and was quite satisfied. Then he continued. Practice resources are very precious at present, so the allocation of resources depends not only on your talents, but also on your own efficiency. Your achievements in practice in the next month will determine your treatment in the next year after the official start of school. So this month, work hard and don't waste the talents God has given you. Quote. Lyn Shu said, rolling his eyes at Su Mengli, wanting to give this talented student a beating. Unfortunately, Su Mengli's attention was focused on Yi Zan, and she was completely unaware of Lyn Shu's eyes. Lyn Shu's rolling eyes were a complete waste of emotion. At this time, Zhou Cheng said, okay, it's getting late. Everyone has been on the bus for a long time today. Your meals and accommodation have been arranged by the school. Eat something and rest early. Starting from tomorrow, your spiritual journey has officially begun. Afterwards, a group of students left the classroom, preparing to have something to eat and take an early rest. Qin Heng came to Yi Zan and Su Mengli and said, brother, do you really only have a level? Yi Zan shook his head and said, the test result of the awakening spirit ball is indeed A level, but I don't think so. Qin Heng agreed. Then there is probably something wrong with the spirit ball, right? Otherwise, my S-level sword control is too stretched, and I can't even fight against an A-level one. Let's go to the cafeteria to eat. Today I recognize you as my master. Brother, you can treat me, right? Yi Zan smiled and said, it's okay to treat us, but it will have to be tomorrow. I just came to the Magic City today, and I'm going to take Mengli around to relax. After hearing this, Qin Heng frowned slightly and said, isn't this not good? Didn't the college teacher just say that we should go to bed early? Yi Zan said calmly, it's okay, relaxing is also a kind of rest. Mengli, are you right? Su Mengli is also a girl. It can be said that it is a girl's nature to go shopping. Naturally, she will not object. Yes, let's go shopping. Next, the two held hands and openly left the group to go shopping together. As for the food, they naturally took care of it outside the school. When Yi Zan and Su Mengli walked away, Lyn Shu and several other teachers were still there. Looking at this scene, Lyn Shu frowned. He came near Qin Heng and said, Qin Heng, what did Mr. Su and the others do? Qin Heng looked at Lyn Shu and explained, Dean Lin, the two of them went shopping and said they wanted to relax. Lyn Shu looked very ugly. Have they turned a deaf ear to my words? This month's special training will determine your training resources for the next year. Instead of recharging their energy, they go shopping instead. Qin Heng now really regards Yi Zan as a friend. He explained for Yi Zan, Dean Lin, for girls, maybe shopping is also a kind of relaxation. Lin Zul said helplessly, forget it, school has just started, let her relax first, and be careful in the future. The situation of mankind is serious now, and we can't be so willful. Zhou Chang sighed. Yes. At this moment, Yizan and Su Mengli were shopping. Su Mengli was not short of money. Before, she had never dared to spend the 100,000 yuan that Yi Shui gave her. But things are different now. With her future, she can easily return more to the Yi family, so she can spend money with confidence. Although the consumption level in Shanghai is high, as long as you don't buy a house, other aspects are fine. The two of them happily walked around for 2 or 3 hours, and then had a meal together before returning home with a lot of trophies and returned to the University of Magic. Yizan sent Su Mengli to the door of the girls' dormitory. Su Mengli looked at Yizan and said, "I am very happy today, Yizan, thank you." Yizan smiled and said, "If you like it in the future, I will accompany you to go shopping at any time." Su Mengli was puzzled. "It's better to stop for a while. I quite like it myself, but the key is that my wallet can't stand it." Yizan said directly, "It's okay, my parents and I want some money. Don't let you and your uncle and aunt ask for money. I'd rather not go shopping." "Okay, I listen to you." Su Mengli has a cold temperament, and she doesn't care what most people think. However, Yizan's parents are different. She has already identified Yizan's parents, as her future parents-in-law. "Even before I got married to Yizan, I kept asking Yizan to ask for money from home. What was going on? This would affect her image in the eyes of her future parents-in-law, who would consider her a prodigal daughter-in-law, so she immediately sternly refused. Afterwards, Su Mengli went upstairs, and Yizan also returned to the boys' dormitory. The physical facilities of Mordu University are very good, especially the Academy of Awakeners. The treatment is a level higher than that of ordinary colleges. All of them are single dormitories. Yizan returned to his dormitory and said silently in his heart, "Equip the witch cloak." Next, Yizan felt that there was a powerful energy in his body, making him feel that his body was full of strength and vitality. At the same time, there seemed to be an invisible shield around him, protecting his body. This layer of shield is intangible and invisible, but Yizan himself feels that this layer of shield can withstand a certain amount of spell damage and is refreshed every 24 hours. The effect is very practical. In addition, Yizan felt that his body was full of vitality, which was due to the health bonus brought by the witch's cloak. To put it simply, his blood was thicker and fleshier. Yizan was very satisfied with the witch cloak, and under the effect of the equipment, Yizan didn't have an extra cloak on him. It was no different from usual. It can be said to be quite practical. After experiencing the effect of the witch's cloak, Yizan looked at the system panel. "Congratulations to the host, you have completed the task of going shopping with the empress. The system task is being settled. I am very happy shopping, but it seems to lack a bit of romance. Have you forgotten something? A hug or a kiss will make the empress happier. A comprehensive evaluation of 3 stars will reward 5% of the development progress of the current training stage. Do you want to receive it?" Quote. Yizan immediately said, "Yes." Immediately, Yizan felt that the muscles and bones all over his body were trembling, and a strong energy was constantly surging in his body, making him feel full of power. He let out a roar involuntarily, and then exerted all his strength. Then, all his clothes were shattered and shot out in all directions. Yizan performed a clothes explosion in the dormitory. This is the effect of a large one-time increase in strength. The original development rate of Yizan's ability is the same as others, which is 1%. But now, the development progress has suddenly increased by 5%. Yizan's power of 1 image has directly turned into the power of 6 images. The explosion is still light. If Yizan is willing, he can easily control it at this moment. My dormitory was demolished. Yizan has done tests before. The power of an elephant is about 5 meters, which is about 10,000 kilograms. Now it has doubled 6 times, directly turning into a huge strength of 60,000 kilograms. This sudden increase in strength made Yizan feel itchy and wanted to find a place to try it out. Unfortunately, the door to the dormitory building was closed at the moment, and Yizan couldn't get out. He could only wait until tomorrow for another chance. Early the next morning, a group of students gathered in the lecture theater. Zhou Chang arranged for his assistants to distribute corresponding spiritual stones to the students according to their different qualifications. Then, Lyn Shu said, "Have you received all the spirit stones?" Next, I will explain how to use these spirit stones. Lyn Shu can be regarded as a pioneer in awakening. He shared his practice experience with many students. Although it is not suitable for everyone, it can definitely help people avoid many detours. After speaking about his experience, Lyn Shu said, "Okay, next, classmate Sue will go to the teaching and research office with me. We will conduct an accurate test on your talent. Other students can arrange their own time. Cultivation is a very personal matter, and my experience can only be used as a reference. You can choose the method you like. In short, maximizing the efficiency of practice is the most important thing." Quote. Then, Su Mengli glanced at Yizan, and then went to test his talent. Yizan looked at this scene and said in his heart, "The talent test is over, I'm afraid I will face a new wave of challenges." Su Mengli's talent is above S level, but the specific level is unknown to Shanghai University. Once it is determined that Su Mengli is SSS level, which is the highest known talent level currently, there are currently no more than 3 people at this level in the entire China. Until 20 years later, awakened people continued to pop up like mushrooms after a rain, and there were still no more than 10 awakened people with SSS level talents. Once Su Mengli's talent is determined, Yizan's troubles will be inevitable. Thinking about it, Yizan clenched his fist tightly with his right hand. Since he wanted to possess this peerless empress who conquered the country, what did the mere trouble mean? No matter what the storm is, come on. In the teaching and research room, Su Mengli stood in front of an awakening spirit ball with a diameter of 1 meter and then placed her hand on it. After a moment, the awakening spirit ball was exactly the same as the previous test. She was surrounded by red lotus, and above the red lotus, a series of fire beasts such as Suzaku, Phoenix, Fire Kirin, and 3-legged golden crow appeared. And then, a voice sounded in the awakening spirit ball, "The test is completed." The name of the awakener's ability is Karma Fire Red Lotus, and the ability level is SSS level. The current development degree is 1.002%. When this voice came out, Zhou Chang, Lyn Shu and other instructors were all shocked to see this scene. It's SSS level. There are only 3 in the whole Daxia right now. I didn't expect that the 4th SSS level awakener is actually a little girl. At this time, Lyn Shu said solemnly, "I will keep an eye on her and Yizan, as the 4th SSS level awakener in China. Since she has come to our academy, we must ensure that she can walk on the road to the real peak and become an unparalleled strongman." Lyn Shu himself is an SS level awakener, and he knows more clearly what an SSS level awakener represents. Especially Su Mengli's ability, or the elemental ability of the Karma Fire Red Lotus, if she grows up, it is not an exaggeration to dominate a large-scale battle by herself. At this time, Su Mengli came over and said, "Dean Lin, the test is over, can I go back now?" Lyn Shu looked at Su Mengli and said, "You are an SSS level awakener, what do you think now?" Su Mengli was stunned for a moment and said, "Nothing, but Yizan will be very happy if he knows it." After hearing this, Lyn Shu frowned and said, "Yizan, I think you should think about yourself. You have such a talent, but you must not waste it." Su Mengli said seriously, "I will practice well with Yizan." Lyn Shu looked at Su Mengli and said, "Student Su, maybe you don't know how big a threat the alien beasts are to humans at present. Your time is limited, and there is not much time for you to waste. You must seize every minute and every second and grow up quickly." "You mean?" Lyn Shu thought for a while and said, "I know you have a good relationship with Yizan, but for the future of mankind, you must ensure your own practice efficiency. You just saw that the Advanced Awakening Spirit Ball in our Teaching and Research Department can test your progress in cultivation. Today, you practice well for a day and see how much progress you have made in cultivation. Tomorrow, you will practice with Yizan again and compare your progress to see how big the gap is between the two. Then decide how to practice in the future. What do you think?" Quote. Su Mengli frowned and said, "But." Zhou Cheng looked at Su Mengli and said, "Student Su, Dean Lin said this not only for the future of mankind. I believe you have also seen some videos of alien beasts hurting people. The threats and challenges facing mankind in the future are huge. If you don't have the strength, you can't protect not only yourself, but also Yizan. Therefore, your cultivation efficiency must be guaranteed." Quote. After listening to Zhou Cheng's words, Su Mengli suddenly remembered the incident the night before. At that time, she was panicked when facing a mere Zhonghai, which led to Yizan being hit by a bullet and bleeding so much. The next time she encounters danger, will she let her beloved man rush to the front and bleed, while she hides behind her and cries? No, next time, I have to protect him and not let him get hurt. Thinking of this, Su Mengli said, I understand, I will do as you said. I don't know whether I can protect all mankind, but I will definitely protect him and not let him get hurt. After hearing this, Lyn Shu said helplessly, Classmate Su, do you mean that Amir Yizan is more important than all mankind? You should know that the so-called all mankind includes not only those strangers, but also your former classmates, your friends, your relatives, and your parents. After hearing this, Su Mengli showed a self-deprecating expression in her eyes. Her classmates, they can't even compare to Yizan's toes. Her friends, she doesn't have any friends. And her parents are even more like a joke to her. Besides, the relationship between her and her parents has long been bought out by 4 million, and there is nothing to say. As for relatives, Yizan's sister and parents are already relatives to her. These people are indeed very important in her heart, but there is still a gap between them and Yizan. As for her parents, in Su Mengli's eyes, they are not even as good as strangers. Therefore, Su Mengli said, yes, what you said is indeed not as good as Yizan. After hearing this, Lyn Shu sighed and said, now the ideological education of young people must be strengthened. No matter how good Yizan is to you, can he compare with your parents who gave birth to you and raised you? In this world, there is no one else who can treat you well without any bottom line except your parents. Su Mengli did not explain any more, but just said, I will choose the best practice efficiency according to what you said. As for other things, we have nothing to talk about. After Su Mengli finished speaking, she left. Lyn Shu looked at this scene and was very angry. How can there be such a little girl? She regards a boy as more important than her parents. What on earth is she thinking? Zhou Cheng listened to Lyn Shu's words and said, Dean Lin, you really said something wrong just now. Student sus parents are not good people. Zhou Cheng went to Zhongcheng before and picked up Yizan and Su Mengli to the Magic City. Therefore, he learned about some of Su Mengli's previous experiences from the principal and teachers. Afterwards, Zhou Cheng recounted what happened to Su Mengli. After hearing this, Lyn Shu slapped the table angrily and said, there are such parents. Do they treat their children as objects? No wonder this child is obsessed with Yizan. Zhou Cheng also agreed. Yes, Su Mengli, this kid, had a bad experience before and didn't have many friends around him, so he protected Yizan like this. Lyn Shu thought for a while and said, please take a leave these days and go to Zhongcheng. Zhou Cheng was stunned for a moment. What should I do in Zhongcheng? Lyn Shu said, go and deal with Su Mengli's parents first. Your ability is suitable for this. Teach these two fools a lesson. That couple really needs to be cleaned up, but they don't necessarily require me to make a trip, right? Lyn Shu patted Zhou Cheng on the shoulder and said, teaching her parents a lesson is only secondary. There is another more important thing for you to do. Zhou Cheng was stunned for a moment. What's going on? Lyn Shu explained. Su Mengli's talent is SSS level, which is very important. She and Yizan fell in love, which was nothing. However, she only has one Yizan now, and she regards Yizan as the only light in the darkness, which is not conducive to her healthy growth. She needs more friends around her to create a harmonious atmosphere so that she can experience family affection, friendship, etc. Quote. Zhou Cheng understood what Lyn Shu meant. You mean, find some friends with whom she has a relatively good relationship in Zhongcheng and arrange to join our awakened college. Lyn Shu nodded and said, yes, do you have any candidates? Zhou Cheng thought for a while and said, I heard that her English teacher Qi Yu was pretty good to her. In addition, Yizan's sister Yi Shui also takes great care of Su Mengli. As for the others, she doesn't know much about them yet. Quote. Lyn Shu said directly, then let these two people come to our Academy of Awakeners first. But they are all ordinary people. Isn't it inappropriate to come to the Academy of Awakeners? Lyn Shu smiled and said, I am the dean and I have the final say. What's inappropriate? Besides, what's the point of arranging a few people for the healthy growth of an SSS-level genius? I don't want to force her to break up with Yizan. I just hope that from now on she will no longer only have love in her eyes, but can have something else. Quote. Zhou Chang nodded and said, I understand. On the other side, Su Mengli came to the separate practice room arranged for her by Lyn Shu and sent a WeChat message to Yi Zan. Yi Zan, the college has arranged for me to practice alone today. I will find you later. After a while, Yi Zan replied, okay. Yi Zan is also quite disappointed at this moment. After all, if the two of them are separated, the double practice card will not be used. This will reduce the efficiency of their practice. Let's see what the school thinks first. If the two of them are kept separated, then he will have to have some blows with Mengli. The double training card must be used. This will only be good for Su Mengli's growth, not bad. If the top management of Shanghai University of Science and Technology insists on separating the two of them, then Yi Zan can only persuade Su Mengli to transfer to another school with him. Yi Zan believes that Shanghai University is unwilling to lose an SSS level awakener. Su Mengli was away, so Yi Zan could only practice alone. He came to a separate practice room, took out a spiritual stone from the resource pack, then put it close to his eyebrows and started practicing. There are many factors that determine the efficiency of practice, including 3 aspects: ability level, practice resources, and practice talent. From C level to SSS level, the higher the ability level, the slower the practice speed, because the higher the ability level, the higher the upper limit. If we compare a person's body to a dry pond, the process of cultivation is to absorb all the water in this spiritual stone and use it for one's own use, thereby improving the development of one's own abilities. In this process, the ability level in the pond of oneself will become larger. For example, in the previous life, Yi Zan's ability level was C-level muscle strengthening. His pond is a small fish pond of 100 square meters, but what about Su Mengli's? It's not a pond, it's an ocean, as big as the Pacific Ocean. Because of this, Yi Zan in his previous life developed his abilities to 100% within a few years. As for Su Mengli, as the Red Lotus Empress, she has countless training resources and the full support of the country. However, her ability was not developed to 89% until the Demon City Guard battle, not even 90%. The second aspect is practice resources. This is very simple. The more abundant the resources, the faster the practice speed. The third aspect is cultivation talent. There is no correlation between ability level and cultivation talent. Different people have different speeds in refining spiritual energy. The faster the refining speed and sufficient resources, the higher the natural efficiency. Yi Zan is practicing at this moment, and he deeply feels the difference between himself and his previous life. Compared with his previous life, his cultivation talent is no different now, but the difference in feeling is huge. In his previous life, he had also received a spiritual stone reward through hard work in performing tasks. At that time, he spent 3 hours absorbing that spiritual stone. At that time, he felt that he was exhausted, and his muscles had developed to 50%, and the muscle development had soared to 70% in an instant. Now it still takes him 3 hours to absorb the spirit stone. However, when the energy of the spirit stone is absorbed by himself, it is like an extra toothpick in a large water tank. He feels nothing at all. Yi Zan estimated that it would take about half a month to improve his ability development by 1 percentage point. And this is just the beginning. The higher the degree of ability development, the more difficult the subsequent progress will be. Yi Zan's S-level talent is so difficult. Su Mengli's talent is 2 levels higher than the current Yi Zan. No wonder she has the support of the whole country and has not been able to develop it to 90% for more than 20 years. At this moment, Su Mengli, like Yi Zan, also felt the difficulty of practicing. Absorbing the energy in the spirit stone was like using a tap pipe to collect water from the dry Pacific Ocean. She could not see the end at a glance. No time in sight. In fact, Su Mengli's cultivation talent cannot be said to be bad, it can only be said to be average. However, the upper limit of her talent, SSS level Karma Red Lotus, is too high. This also shows that her cultivation progress is pitifully slow. In her previous life, she was not able to reach that point solely through her own efforts. In the later period, as the recovery of spiritual energy intensified, various magical treasures of heaven and earth appeared in the world. A very few of them were precious treasures that could enhance cultivation talents and improve the progress of ability development. These most precious and rare treasures are naturally used on the top group of people, and Su Mengli is naturally one of them. Perhaps, it is precisely because of this that Su Mengli will choose to die with the strange beasts in the future. She has taken up too many national resources and been given too many high expectations. In order to live up to these resources and expectations, she could only choose to die together to serve the country. Think about it, if Su Mengli's growth relied mostly on herself instead of the country's strong support, even if she also had the heart to protect China, at least she would not choose to die for her country, right? In the previous life, Su Mengli died for her country, and Yizan admired and respected her very much, but in this life, Yizan did not want such a thing to happen. It is necessary to protect one's own country, but it is not necessary to die for the country. Keeping the green hills and not worrying about running out of firewood is the right choice. Improving ability development is a hard work that requires a lot of calmness and patience, and time passes quickly. At 7 o'clock in the evening, Dean Lyn Shu once again gathered all the students in the lecture theater. Later, Lyn Shu said, "After a day of practice, everyone must have realized something and have some doubts, right? Now, if you have any questions about practice, feel free to ask me." One after another, students raised their hands and asked about their doubts. Lyn Shu, the future headless god of war, was quite patient at the moment and answered the questions seriously. The whole process lasted for more than 40 minutes, and many students had something to say. Reward. When no one asked any more questions, Lyn Shu said, "Okay, that's it for today. Everyone can go have something to eat, rest early, and pay attention to the balance between work and rest." At this time, a boy with purple hair stood up and said, "Teacher, I am very interested in student Yi's ability. He is obviously an A-level talent, but he can beat S-level opponents. I also want to give him a try." Strength. After hearing this, Lyn Shu said, "The future of the awakened people is to fight with people and strange beasts. Fighting is inevitable. It is actually a good thing for you to communicate with each other in a measured way. Classmate Yizan, do you agree? Are you going to discuss with Zhao Lei?" Yizan glanced at Zhao Lei and said, "Okay. Zhao Lei is an S-level ability user. His ability is the power of the god of thunder. He can control the most explosive power of thunder and lightning in the world, and his attack power is quite terrifying. It's a pity that with his ability level, today's practice can only increase his ability development by less than 0.1 at most. As for Yizan, because of the reward from the shopping mission with Su Mengli, his ability development level has reached 6%. Both are S-level ability users, but Yizan's ability development rate is 6 times that of Zhao Lei. How could Zhao Lei be Yizan's opponent? Moreover, Yizan is also equipped with a witch's cloak, which is inherently restrained against elemental opponents. Therefore, Zhao Lei challenged Yizan by lighting a lamp in the toilet and seeking death. Afterwards, the group of people went to the martial arts arena again, and the other students also looked excited. They were all young people, and they already liked to watch the fun, so it was even more interesting for everyone. Moreover, Yizan's identity is so special. He is an A-level ability awakener and has taken over Su Mengli, a goddess with unparalleled talent and beauty. At the same time, the contest between him and Qin Heng was deemed to be a match fixing. Everyone was curious about the outcome of this battle. Yizan and Zhao Lei entered the martial arts arena. Zhao Lei looked at Yizan and said, "Yizan, you have to pay attention. My ability is to control thunder and lightning, which is very lethal. If you can't hold on anymore, surrender immediately to avoid killing people." Yizan said lightly, "Come on." Then, Zhang Lei shouted loudly, and then, purple lightning was beating between his 5 fingers. Then, Zhao Lei threw his hands towards Yizan, and a purple thunder power spread out, and then struck it on Yizan's body. The power of purple thunder and lightning touched the shield brought by the witch's cloak. Suddenly, the power of thunder and lightning disappeared, but the shield of the witch's cloak remained motionless. The introduction of the witch cloak is that it can withstand one spell attack. The so-called one refers to an attack of sufficient strength, not that any random attack can break the shield. Now Zhao Lei is equivalent to a level 1 mage, and Yizan is also level 1, but he has a witch cloak that can only be equipped at level 10 or above. If Zhao Lei's spell damage is 10 points, but the witch's cloak can withstand more than 2,000 points of spell damage at a time, how could he possibly hurt Yizan? Of course, when Zhao Lei's ability development exceeds 50%, he may be able to break Yi Zan's shield with a single blow. The witch's cloak is not invincible, but at least at the current stage, it is too difficult for Zhao Lei to break the shield. Yi Zan looked at Zhao Lei calmly and said, "Stronger, I can still withstand it." A trace of embarrassment flashed across Zhao Lei's face, and then he continued to control the power of thunder and lightning to bombard Yi Zan. 1, 2, 3, and 4 thunderbolts struck down. Yi Zan's expression did not change and his body did not even move. At this moment, the students under the stage were all shocked. What is going on? Could it be that Zhao Lei was also bribed by Yi Zan? Seeing that his attack was ineffective, Zhao Lei became a little anxious. By accident, the lightning did not hit Yi Zan, but instead hit the students watching nearby. The student suddenly let out a scream like a slaughtering pig, his hair suddenly stood up one by one, his entire face was chopped into burnt black, and he breathed out a puff of black smoke. Obviously, Zhao Lei's thunder and lightning power is genuine and full of lethality. But why did the power of thunder and lightning have no effect when it hit Yi Zan? At this moment, Lyn Shu, the future headless god of war, was already wondering, this kid is so evil, what is going on? How could an A-level ability user be so difficult to deal with? Zhao Lei had already attacked Yi Zan with 8 or 9 thunder and lightning powers, and it would be meaningless to let him continue to attack him. Therefore, Yi Zan carried the power of thunder and lightning and walked step by step in front of Zhao Lei. Then he put his right hand on Zhao Lei's shoulder and said lightly, "Classmate Zhao, aren't you going to admit defeat?" Zhao Lei could feel the pressure coming from Yi Zan. Yi Zan put his hands on his shoulders, making him feel as if there was a hill pressing on his shoulders. His body was pressed slightly and it was difficult to move. Then, Zhao Lei looked depressed and said, "I give up." Yi Zan smiled and said, "That's good, by the way, everyone is in the cultivation stage, and time is very precious. Someone challenged me for 2 consecutive days, and I accepted them, but I can't waste time for no reason every day. If anyone wants to challenge me in the future, can I add some bonus? It's only fair that the loser takes a few spiritual stones." Quote. After Yi Zan finished speaking, he got off the ring. At this time, Lyn Shu came to Yi Zan and said, "Classmate Yi, take off your clothes." Yi Zan was stunned for a moment. "What do you mean?" Lyn Shu said lightly, "The fight between you and Zhao Lei just now seemed very abnormal to me. Do you have any special objects on your body that can withstand the power of thunder and lightning?" After hearing this, Yi Zan took off his clothes without any ink, exposing his upper body. What does it mean to be a manly man, but to be shirtless? Yi Zan's dragon elephant prison suppressing body has a development level of 6%, and his body has also undergone certain changes due to the development level of his abilities. His figure is like that of a male model. He looks thin when dressed and muscular when undressed. His body has clear muscle lines and clearly defined 8-pack abs. Combined with his handsome facial features, the whole person looks quite masculine. There are quite a few girls in the Awakening Academy. At this moment, all of them were amazed, and a few of the brave ones even whistled. Then, Yi Zan said to Lyn Shu, "Dean Lin, you can check my clothes to see if there are any problems. To be honest, it is just such a small amount of thunder and lightning power. Do I need to use anything to resist it?" Under the stage, the boy who was lying down and struck by lightning rolled his eyes after hearing this. Although he was not seriously injured now, he was very embarrassed. Now Yi Zan said this, it was simply insulting him. At this moment, Su Mengli was a little angry, especially when she saw the girl's eyes shining and some girls whistling. This made her feel that her personal sovereignty had been violated, and she was very annoyed. Therefore, she quickly stepped forward, picked up Yi Zan's clothes, and quickly helped Yi Zan put it on. While putting it on, she said, "What does this look like in front of a large crowd?" Su Mengli said and glared at Lyn Shu fiercely. Inexplicably, Lyn Shu felt a little unreasonable. He smiled and took a step back, letting Su Mengli and Yi Zan do what they wanted. Yi Zan quickly put on his clothes, and the girls were all delighted. Then, a girl walked out of the crowd, came to Yi Zan openly, stretched out her hand and said, "Handsome guy, my name is Yun Shui Yao, please add me on WeChat." At the same time, the system prompt sounded, Congratulations to the host, my friend Yun Shuiyao's favorability has increased to 40 points, and you can participate in a lottery. Genius list. Yun Shuiyao, Deputy. Talent. S-level Frozen World. Favorability. 40. Number of times you can draw. Once. Yizan really didn't expect that after coming to the Academy of Awakeners at Magic City University, his first friend with a favorability level of over 30 would be a beautiful woman. And the reason why he was able to get this favorability was because Yizan took off his clothes in public and sacrificed his appearance. Although he could participate in a lottery, Yizan always felt weird inside, as if he was being prostituted. Don't rush the lottery, wait until you are alone in the dormitory and then draw slowly. Of course, Yizan would not make decisions on things like adding WeChat. He already had an idea. Therefore, Yizan's eyes fell on Su Mengli to see what his empress had to say. Su Mengli said calmly, "We are all classmates, so it is normal to add a WeChat account. Student Yun, how about we also add a WeChat account?" Okay, Yun Shuiyao smiled. I have to admit that a person's talent has nothing to do with personality. Su Mengli's ability is Red Lotus Fire, which can burn all things, but her personality is actually cold and reserved and has nothing to do with fire. This Yun Shuiyao, on the other hand, has the best ability in the world, but has a charming and fiery temperament. She was the one who blew the rogue whistle just after Yizan took off his clothes. At this moment, she took the initiative to become Yizan's friend. She is not the character of an iceberg queen. Yizan has no thoughts about Yun Shuiyao. He only has the empress in his heart. As for other geniuses, he doesn't mind having a certain degree of favorability, at least they can be used for lottery draws. From the current point of view, although the lottery prizes are not as good as directly improving talents, they are still very precious. The butcher's knife makes up for Yizan's lack of lethality, and the witch's cloak gives him the ability to crush those who wake up early in the elemental system, both of which are very useful. At this moment, all the students looked at Yizan in shock. They seriously suspected that Yizan was not actually an A-level ability awakener, but a hidden SSS level. Otherwise, how could he be so strong? At night, Yizan stayed alone on the bed in the dormitory, silently saying in his heart, "Lottery." Immediately, the system prompt sounded, "Congratulations to the host, you have won a full-level experience card." Yizan focused his attention on the full-level experience card and was greatly surprised. This full-level experience card allows Yizan to experience what it is like to develop his abilities to 100% in a short period of time. In other words, as long as this experience card is activated, Yizan's strength will become a full-level dragon. The elephant prison body, the power of 10 dragons and hundreds of elephants, the ultimate S-level power, can move mountains and seas, no problem. The only flaw is that this full-level experience card only lasts for 10 minutes. But even so, this experience card is very precious. At the critical moment, 10 minutes of max level is enough to turn the tide. In Zhongcheng, Zhou Cheng followed Lyn Shu's instructions to do things. The first thing he had to do was teach Su Mengli's unreliable parents a lesson. Su Guodong and Zhang Sholan are both scum. If these parents hadn't forced their daughter to that point, Yizan wouldn't have had such an important position in Su Mengli's heart. Therefore, both parents you need to be taught a lesson. The reason why Lyn Shu said Zhou Cheng was suitable for doing this kind of thing was because of Zhou Cheng's ability, Ghost. In the ghost state, Zhou Cheng can change his form at will and is immune to all physical attacks, but is not immune to spell attacks. At the same time, Zhou Cheng can attack others. This ability of his is very special. He can play with it at will against those he restrains, but against those who restrain himself, he will be absolutely suppressed. This ability has limited lethality, so although it is special, it is only A level, and the rating is not high. At Zhang Sholan's home, Zhang Sholan was taking selfies with her mobile phone. She was taking pictures of her newly bought bag. This luxury bag cost her a full 120,000 yuan, so of course she wanted to show it off. The origin of this money was, of course, obtained by selling her daughter. Because of this money, although her sweetheart Zhang Hai disappeared inexplicably some time ago, she was living a very comfortable life. However, just as Zhang Sholan was showing off her designer bag, the lights in the room suddenly went out. Zhang Sholan was startled, and then turned on the lights as if nothing had happened. However, Zhang Sholan had not taken a few steps when a series of strange female cries rang in her ears. At the same time, a sinister wind blew around her. Zhang Sholan was frightened to death and almost fell to the ground. Fortunately, the crying did not last long and disappeared. Zhang Sholan rolled and crawled to the switch, and then turned on the light. The moment the lights came on, Zhang Sholan breathed a sigh of relief and turned to go to the sofa. However, the moment she turned her head, a terrifying female ghost face struck her face. The female ghost's face was pale, her eyes, ears, mouth and nose were bleeding. Her expression was terrifying, her hair was disheveled, and her voice was shrill. Zhang Sholan screamed in fright, and then she fell directly to the ground and passed out. Afterwards, Zhou Cheng left with satisfaction and went to find Su Guodong again. Chapter 56. When Zhou Cheng came to Su Guodong's house, it was already past 10 o'clock. Su Guodong relied on the 2 million from selling his daughter to gain confidence in front of his new love Chen Lan. Therefore, even if he failed to let Chen Lan's son be with Su Mengli in the end, he would still live with Chen Lan's family. It's past 10 o'clock now, and Chen Lan's son has also gone to bed. Although Su Guodong and Chen Lan are not young, they have not been together for a long time. They are looking forward to their married life. In the dead of night, Su Guodong's sword was still young and he was ready to go into battle with his gun. However, the next second, he was shocked. He saw that the fair and plump Chen Lan in front of him had turned into a terrifying skeleton, just like the white bone spirit in Journey to the West, with white bones all over his body and no flesh and blood on his body. Su Guodong was startled and fell off the bed to the ground, shouting loudly, "Ghost!" Chen Lan didn't know what happened. In her opinion, Su Guodong was about to go to bed with her, but he was so frightened that he fell down and called herself a ghost, which made her quite angry. Chen Lan directly hit Su Guodong with a pillow and cursed, "You idiot, you are useless." The next day, in the training room of the Magic City Awakener Academy, Yizan and Su Mengli were practicing hard. Unbeknownst to Yizan, Su Mengli and Lyn Shu had made an agreement. If her practice efficiency with Yizan is not as good as her practice alone, then she will practice alone honestly to avoid distraction. At this moment, Yizan has activated the double practice card. Under the effect of the double practice card, both Yizan and Su Mengli can feel that they can absorb spiritual power faster than when they practice alone. Out a lot. Su Mengli naturally didn't know about the existence of the double practice card. She thought that this was the power of love, and this was good news. After today's practice, she can confidently tell Dean Lin that she will make faster progress with Yizan. Yizan will not slow down her progress, it will only make her practice more efficient. Yizan felt the same way. Normally, it would take him about half a month to increase his spiritual power development by 1%, but with Su Mengli, 7 days would be enough. The practice card has just expired. Of course, Su Mengli's cultivation progress is not as fast as Yizan's. After all, he is an SSS level Karma Red Lotus. The upper limit is too high, and his growth rate is naturally very slow. Yesterday, Su Mengli finished her training for the day and took the test directly in the teaching and research office. After the training, her ability development degree increased from 1.002 to 1.013. According to this efficiency, Su Mengli can improve by 1 percentage point every 100 days. Moreover, the higher the degree of ability development, the harder it will be to improve later. No wonder Su Mengli's ability development rate could not exceed 90 in the past 20 years with the support of national resources. The fulfilling day passed quickly, and the practice was over. The students were gathered together again. Zhou Cheng had also returned. He said to the students, "Everyone, 2 new teachers have come to our college today. Everyone, welcome." Then, the students all started to applaud, and then, 2 tall figures appeared in the students' field of vision. Yizan and Su Mengli looked at the 2 people and were shocked. They knew these 2 people. One is the high school English teacher, Qi Yu, and the other is Yizan's sister, Yi Shui. Immediately, Zhou Cheng continued, "This is Teacher Qi Yiki. Teacher Qi is mainly responsible for helping everyone solve the difficulties they encounter in life, especially girls. If you encounter any difficulties, you can communicate with Teacher Qi." Everyone applauds. All the students began to applaud in unison. The girls felt that there were only a few male teachers in the college, and it was really inconvenient to talk to the male teachers about some things. It was good to have a female teacher. As for the boys, it was purely a visual thing. They felt that teacher Chi should not be called Chi Yu, but Chi Yorong. Boys like this kind of teacher very much. She has a good figure, is beautiful, and is still a teacher. Chi Yu is not much less attractive to boys than Su Mengli. Afterwards, Zhou Cheng continued. Another teacher, Yi Shui, is a gold medal lawyer. From today on, she will be the legal advisor of our awakened college. As awakened ones, you have power that is superior to ordinary people. At this time, you must abide by the law even more. Therefore, we hired teacher Yi Shui. If you have any legal questions, you can contact teacher Yi. Quote. Applause rang out again, but although Yi Shui was beautiful, she was not as good as teacher Chi Yu, so the intensity of the applause was slightly weaker. Then, Yi Shui and Chi Yu said hello to the students, and they were considered acquainted. After reading the introduction, Lyn Shu said, okay, that's it for today. Su Mengli, Yi Zan, come with me to the teaching and research office. Yi Shui was about to leave, but after listening to Lyn Shu's words, she said, Dean Lin, what do you want from my brother? Why don't I go and join in the fun? Lyn Shu smiled and said, of course, let's go together. The reason why Zhou Cheng invited Yi Shui and Chi Yu over was to make the relationship between Yi Zan and Su Mengli no longer so indestructible. Originally, the relationship between Yi Zan and Su Mengli was too close, especially Su Mengli. He had no other friends at Shanghai University and his only support was Yi Zan. It would be strange if he didn't give up. After getting to know each other in Zhongcheng, Zhou Cheng knew that Chi Yu and Yi Shui were good to Su Mengli. He directly transferred these two people together to give Su Mengli a few more close people. With enough security, Yi Zan was no longer so difficult to replace. Soon, a group of people arrived at the teaching and research room. In the middle of the teaching and research room was the oversized awakening spirit ball. It was an advanced awakening spirit ball that could directly test talent and even ability development. Later, Lyn Shu explained, Consultant Yi, you are Yi Zan's sister. I will tell you some things directly. Su Mengli's talent is far beyond your imagination. Her growth rate even determines the fate of mankind. Therefore, we must ensure the efficiency of her practice. Yesterday, Su practiced diligently alone for a day, and her spiritual power development rate increased by 0.01. Today, she is practicing with Yi Zan. We want to see how much her improvement has improved. If her efficiency is obviously lower than usual, she has promised us that she will practice alone in the future. Consultant Yi, can you understand? Quote. Yi Shui pursed her lips and said, I understand. Do you think my brother is a burden and a stumbling block on Mengli's growth? Lyn Shu said lightly, then it depends on the test results. Let's let the data speak for itself. Yi Shui wanted to say something else, but Su Mengli said, Sister, don't worry, Yi Zan has never been a stumbling block. With him by my side, I will only be better. As Su Mengli said, she walked towards the huge awakening spirit ball and put her hands on it. A moment later, the reminder of the awakening spirit ball sounded. Student Su Mengli's ability development degree is 1.0034. Compared with the last test, the development degree has increased by 0.021, and the practice efficiency has increased by 99%. After the words of this advanced awakening spirit ball fell, both Lyn Shu and Zhou Cheng were dumbfounded. How could this be possible? When Su Mengli and Yi Zan are together, their cultivation efficiency will be doubled. Lyn Shu was paying attention to Su Mengli's practice alone yesterday. He was very sure that Su Mengli did not deliberately slow down her practice. She was practicing hard. In Lyn Shu's view, Su Mengli and Yi Zan practicing together would inevitably be distracted and their efficiency would definitely be reduced. But now, with the data in front of him, Lyn Shu felt that his face hurt. Yi Shui was dissatisfied just now, and now Su Mengli slaps her in the face with facts. Of course she will not miss this opportunity to add insult to injury. Dean Lin, you are right, you really have to use data to speak. It seems that, far from being the stumbling block you think, my brother can actually make my future sister-in-law practice faster. When a man and a woman are paired together, the work is not tiring. If they are together, they can make each other grow better. I think you should not let the dog take advantage of the mouse. Quote. Lyn Shu was immediately so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. However, although he was a headless god of war and unparalleled in violence when facing alien beasts, he had no temper when facing ordinary people. At the same time, he was also very puzzled. How could this happen? What happened to Yizan? An A-level man easily defeated S-level Qin Hang, not to mention doubling Su Mengli's training efficiency. What's going on with this kid? Afterwards, Lyn Shu said directly, Yizan, go up and test it too and see how your progress is. Lyn Shu is very curious about Yizan. It just so happens that there is an advanced awakening spirit ball here today, which can test more things. Maybe this advanced awakening spirit ball can discover Yizan's secrets. After listening to Lyn Shu's words, Yizan came to the huge spiritual ball and also put his palm on it. Immediately, a voice sounded in the advanced awakening spirit ball. Student Yizan's ability is Dragon Elephant Prison Suppression Body, Ability Level S, Ability Development Degree 6.23. Yi Shui said unexpectedly. Yizan, I remember your level is a level, how come you became S level? Yizan pretended to be stupid and said, I don't know either. Maybe I'm still in the developmental stage and my talent has developed accordingly. Lyn Shu said directly, impossible. I have never heard that talents can be developed along with it. Yizan looked at Lyn Shu and said, is that because you are ignorant? What's so strange about the development of talent? Then either the talent has developed, or there is something wrong with the previous test spirit ball. These are the two possibilities. At this time, Zhou Cheng said, Dean Lin, our focus seems to be wrong. Lyn Shu was stunned for a moment. Wrong focus? Where is the mistake? Zhou Cheng explained. Yizan's ability development rate is a little over 6%. Yizan's awakening was stimulated by the awakening spirit ball, not his own awakening. The initial development level, like other students, is 1%, but in just 2 days, his ability development level has already reached 6%. Is this too fast? Quote. Lyn Shu suddenly said, yes, in 2 days, the development rate increased by 5%. According to this efficiency, doesn't it mean that after 2 months, the ability development rate will be 100%? This kid is simply a monster. Quote. Lyn Shu said, staring at Yizan closely, as if he wanted to see through Yizan. Yi Shui saw it and said directly, Dean Lin, what's your expression? Have you never seen a genius? Lyn Shu shook his head and said, he is not a genius, he is a geek. His talent has changed from a level to S level, and his ability development has improved so quickly. It is simply weird. A black line appeared on Yizan's brow and he said, are you praising me or scolding me? Lyn Shu laughed. Of course I'm complimenting you, because I think I'm just as weird as you. Due to his own abilities, in order to improve his ability development, in this life, except for the time when he served as the dean of the college, Lyn Shu was either seeking death or on the road to death. He was also a weirdo in the eyes of others. And today, he met a weirdo who was just like him, even weirder than him. He was very happy in his heart. Yizan listened to Lyn Shu's words and said lightly, then your way of complimenting others is quite unique. Zhou Cheng suddenly said, I just don't know, which one is more powerful, the genius or the geek. In the entire Ermo City Awakening Academy, there is only one person who can truly be called a genius, and that is SSS level Su Mengli, while Yizan is a standard geek. Zhou Cheng is curious, which one is stronger? However, when Zhou Cheng finished speaking, the system prompt sounded. The mission related to the Empress is released, Invincible Loneliness. As an SSS level awakener, the Empress has never been defeated in her life, which is also a regret in life. Please challenge the Empress and win the battle. There may be unexpected surprises. Quote. Lyn Shu listened to Zhou Cheng's words and said with a smile, won't we find out who is strong and who is weak by fighting? Fighting will help you better master your own abilities, let's fight. Yizan looked at Su Mengli and said, Mengli, what do you think? Su Mengli was a little eager to try. I want to try. The system has already released the task, and Su Mengli is also interested. Plus Lyn Shu and Zhou Cheng's words, Yizan will naturally not refuse and said, okay, let's have a fight. Su Mengli's eagerness to try was not because she wanted to fight or teach Yizan a lesson. On the contrary, she wanted to lose. Ever since they came to the Academy of Awakeners at Modu University, both Lyn Shu and Zhou Cheng have been talking about how talented she is, how ordinary Yizan is, how Yizan is not good enough for her, and so on. However, from beginning to end, she did not recognize this. In her opinion, the boy she liked was better than herself, which was reflected when Yizan easily defeated Zhao Lei. She wants to fight Yizan, not because she wants to be better than Yizan, but because she wants to tell everyone, look, the boy I like is very good, he is a genius even better than me. Afterwards, Lyn Shu directly arranged for a martial arts performance, and also directly announced the news in the group of the Awakened Academy. Zhou Cheng saw Lyn Shu being so happy and said with a smile, Dean Lin, do you really want to see this weirdo be better than our genius? Lyn Shu smiled and said, yes, I, a so-called geek, have been suppressed by that SSS-level old man in the capital, and I have never had the slightest chance to stand up. Today I want to see if this Yizan can break this curse. SSS-level Awakeners, the limit of an Awakener's talent. Every SSS-level Awakener is invincible at the same age. Lyn Shu keeps playing with his life. Compared to the SSS-level old ghost in Beijing, his ability development rate was almost double that of the old ghost at the highest level. However, he still lost to the opponent by one move. He wanted to know whether Yizan could break this curse and defeat the SSS-level awakened person of the same age. Zhou Cheng thought for a while and said, I find it difficult. Although Yizan's ability development rate is high, he is still S-level. If Yizan is SS-level like you, he can defeat Su with 6 times the spiritual power development rate. Mengli has great hopes, but if her talent is 2 levels lower, it will be very difficult. Lyn Shu said, that's not necessarily the case. The students in the college were also very curious about the battle between Yizan and Su Mengli. After all, Yizan had easily defeated Zhao Lei before. Zhao Lei's violent thunder and lightning power could not hurt Yizan. Will Su Mengli's Red Lotus Karma fire be suppressed by Yizan? In the martial arts arena, Yizan and Su Mengli stood face to face. Then, Su Mengli said, I'm going to take action, so be careful. Yizan nodded and said, come on. Yizan said, also getting into a fighting stance. Immediately, the Karma Red Lotus appeared all over Su Mengli, and above the Karma Red Lotus, fire beasts such as Suzaku, Fire Phoenix, Fire Unicorn, and 3-legged Golden Crow appeared. Next, I saw these fire beasts making different chirping sounds and shooting towards Yi Xuanfei without any mercy. Su Mengli believed that since Yizan entered the ring with her, he understood what she meant. Since he came up, he would definitely be able to defeat her. She had absolute trust in Yizan. Yizan couldn't face Su Mengli's attack like he faced Zhao Lei's attack. The gap between S-level and SSS level was still huge. Even if the development rate was only 1%, the lethality should not be underestimated. Yizan was seen striding towards Su Mengli, his fists constantly hitting the front. The punch power of up to 60,000 kilograms made the surrounding air seem to be torn apart. Yizan's fist collided with the fire beasts flying towards him. Under normal circumstances, these fire beasts might have been destroyed, but Yizan's own fists would also be burned by the hot flames, and he would fall down after only a few blows. However, Yizan had the blessing of the witch's cloak. Not only did he have a spell shield on his body to resist damage, but he also had extremely high spell resistance. Therefore, Yizan was not injured. The Suzaku was blown up, the Fire Phoenix was blown up, the Fire Qilin was blown up, the 3-legged Golden Crow was blown up. As these fire-type beasts continued to be destroyed, Yizan quickly approached Su Mengli. Su Mengli was an awakened elementalist. Being approached by Yizan, a person awakened by the power system, basically meant losing. However, Yizan did not give Su Mengli a chance to surrender. After he got close to Su Mengli, he suddenly opened his hands, hugged Su Mengli in his arms, and then pressed his lips directly on Su Mengli's mouth. Yizan still remembers the last shopping mission. He spent a whole day shopping, and Yizan worked so hard, but his evaluation was not high because he lacked romance. This time, Yi Xuancheng has a better memory. The empress is very arrogant, and kisses and hugs are a must. Su Mengli really didn't expect that Yizan would make such a surprise attack. Her pretty face was red, her heartbeat was racing, and she was extremely shy. However, She did not push Yizan away. She just lost all her strength and fell on Yizan's body. At this moment, just above the heads of Yizan and Su Mengli, the fire beasts that Yizan had previously violently knocked away and dispersed turned into sporadic sparks, falling from the air. They were like pieces of fireworks, surrounding Yizan and Su Mengli, falling slowly, looking beautiful and moving. And this also made the students in the martial arts stage really eat a lot of dog food. The kiss lasted for a full 2 or 3 minutes. The students in the audience were all in a daze, and their stomachs all felt swollen. It was like eating too much dog food. Lyn Shu finally reacted and said, Okay, come down after the beating. Why are you still holding me? Su Mengli woke up from a dream, her face flushed, and she immediately left Yizan's arms and went down to the martial arts arena. Yizan couldn't help but lick his lips, savoring the taste of the empress before getting off the ring. Immediately, Lyn Shu patted Yizan on the shoulder. What a boy. You are better than I was when I was young. Work harder in the future and don't let your girlfriend surpass you. Yizan was humble for the first time. I'll try my best. With SSS level talent, the pressure is still very high. Lyn Shu looked at Yizan and said, You must have heard of the Qianlong project, right? As for our Modu University, Su Mengli is sure of it. As for the others, they will decide whether they can join the Hidden Dragon project based on their training performance and combat effectiveness this month. Originally, you kid had no hope. I didn't expect you to suddenly emerge, so I will tell you in advance. During this period, work hard to improve your strength. After a month, try to join the Qianlong project like your girlfriend. Otherwise, the gap between you will be widened. Quote. Yizan defeated Su Mengli on the ring. This was witnessed by everyone with their own eyes. Su Mengli didn't show any mercy when he started. The scorching flame was shattered by Yizan's iron fist, but Yizan was not harmed at all. This is definitely real hard power, unlike the last battle between Yizan and Qin Heng, where there was a possibility of letting things slip. Yizan's strength has completely conquered the tutors at Modu University. At this moment, they no longer think that Yizan will hinder Su Mengli. When the two of them are together, their training efficiency is twice as high as usual. Not only is Yizan a weirdo, his talent can be grown, and his strength is even stronger than that of Su Mengli at the current stage. Now Yizan and Su Mengli are a perfect match, and no one dares to object anymore. Yizan looked at Lyn Shu, whose attitude had changed drastically, and suddenly understood why Su Mengli wanted to have a fight with him. She also hoped to change these people's views on her, right? So far, the effect seems to be very good. Thinking about it, Yizan said, Don't worry, I will catch up with her. At this moment, system prompts kept ringing in Yizan's ears. Congratulations to the host for completing the Empress task of being invincible. The host defeated the Empress with her true strength, and gave her her favorite kiss and hug. I am satisfied. If you get 5 stars, you will be rewarded with the Great Powerful Heavenly Dragon Sutra. A. Yizan paused when he heard the prompt, the Mighty Heavenly Dragon Sutra. Is it the magical power used by Zhao Wenjuo's version of Fahai? It seems to be quite awesome indeed. The Great Powerful Heavenly Dragon Sutra. The Great Powerful Heavenly Dragon, World-Honored Saitagarbha, Prajna Buddhas, Prajna Bama Kong. The Great Powerful Heavenly Dragon Sutra can summon the power of the Heavenly Dragon Buddha to bless one's body, greatly increasing one's own strength. At the same time, it gains the power to destroy evil spirits, doubling the damage to all demons and heretics. Yizan was also very surprised when he saw the prompt from the system. This powerful Tianlong Sutra is quite good. The increase in power is actually nothing to Yizan. His power will naturally increase as the degree of development of his powers increases. The ability to destroy evil is the most powerful. For some demons and heretics, the damage will be doubled. Those alienated beasts obviously belong to the category of demons and heretics. In the future, with the blessing of the Great Powerful Heavenly Dragon Sutra, wouldn't it be like chopping melons and vegetables for Yizan to deal with alien beasts of the same level? However, Yizan's harvest today was not just this. The system prompt continued to sound. Congratulations to the host, the friend S favorability has been increased to 30 points, and he will get a chance to draw a lottery. The friend S favorability has been increased to 30 points. 5 o'clock, get a chance to draw a lottery. Yi Zan's performance today was really amazing. In the Academy of Awakeners, strength determines everything. Today's Yi Zan, after defeating two S-level Awakeners in a row, then defeated the SSS level Su Mengli, which is really fierce. Everyone wants to be friends with Yi Zan, a tough guy like this. Therefore, 3 of the geniuses in the academy have reached 30 points or more, and can provide Yi Zan with a lottery. As for the others, although they are less than 30, their favorability has also improved to varying degrees, and they are not far away from the lottery. Yi Zan was quite excited when he heard the system prompts. At this time, Su Mengli walked away quickly without saying hello to Yi Zan because he was shy. Seeing that the Empress was shy, Yi Zan did not chase her. Instead, he came to Yi Shui and said, "Sister, why did you come suddenly without even a phone call?" Yi Shui Dao, "Sister, don't you want to give you a surprise? The era of awakened people is coming, and my sister feels that being a lawyer is too boring. Originally, I was thinking of finding a university to be a tutor in the law department, and then waiting until the semester started to enjoy the benefits of awakening college students, and follow the awakening ones. Unexpectedly, the tutor from your college came to me. He hoped that I could come to Shanghai University. When the university officially starts, I can also use the awakening spirit ball to awaken, so I came over." Quote. After hearing this, Yi Zan said, "Sister, things like awakening depend on fate." In her previous life, Yi Shui seized the opportunity and used an awakening spirit ball not long after her awakening as a high school student. Unfortunately, she had no ability and could only continue to be her own lawyer. Yi Shui listened to Yi Zan's words and said, "Yes, there is a 40% chance. However, you are my younger brother. Things like awakening depend on genes. You are already S-level and so fierce. I'd S not too much for my sister to get an A, right?" A. Yi Zan smiled and said, "Nothing is too much, sister. Has the college arranged accommodation for you?" "Well, it's been arranged." "Then you should rest early, I will go back too." After hearing this, Yi Shui looked at Yi Zan and said, "So anxious. You can't wait to find your little girlfriend, right?" Okay, I don't want to be this light bulb. But pay attention to safety and don't kill anyone." Quote. Yi Zan knew that he had been misunderstood by Yi Shui, but he did not explain anything. The Empress is not so easy to win. Things like relationships should be done slowly. What he was anxious about was going back to draw the lottery. He had 3 chances to draw the lottery. He didn't know what good things he could get. Afterwards, Yi Zan quickly returned to the dormitory. First, he activated the Great Powerful Heavenly Dragon Sutra. In an instant, Yi Zan felt a burning sensation on his shoulders and back. Then Yi Zan saw a golden dragon appearing on his shoulder, growing on Yi Zan like a tattoo. Then, Yi Zan made a hand trick and said, "The mighty heavenly dragon, world-honored Saitagarbha, Prajna Buddhas, Prajna Bama Kong." After reciting the mantra, Yi Zan felt that a surging power was blessing him, and his whole body seemed to be releasing golden light. There seemed to be waves of dragon roars all around, giving people the feeling that they had entered a Super Saiyan state. At the same time, he could feel the golden dragon on his body swimming around in his body. As long as he wanted, he could release this golden dragon at any time and attack the enemy directly. It is indeed a 5-star reward from the Empress. This reward will greatly improve Yi Zan's strength. In addition, the mighty Tianlong's evil destroying power increases its lethality against monsters by 100%. Yi Zan's combat effectiveness against monsters at this moment is definitely stronger than that of ordinary SS-level awakened beings. After experiencing the power of the powerful Tianlong, Yi Zan said again, "System, just draw 3 times in a row." Congratulations to the host, you have obtained a double practice card, a dark iron heavy sword, and a knowledge gem. Yi Zan looked at these 3 prizes and was quite pleasantly surprised, especially the knowledge gem. The effect was simply unexpected. The double cultivation card has the same effect as the previous dual cultivation card. Although it is obtained from other geniuses, this time the dual cultivation card still must be activated together with Su Mengli. After activation, it can last for 7 days, and the practice efficiency will be doubled within 7 days. This is no surprise. As for the dark iron heavy sword, it is the heavy sword from the Condor heroes. The heavy sword has no edge and is ingenious but not workmanlike. This sword weighs 99 and 81 kilograms, and is made entirely of black iron. The dark body of the sword has a faint red light, and it can be called a magical weapon. Although the Xuanti heavy sword is not as sharp as the handy kitchen knife, it is far heavier than it and can bring Yi Zhan's power to the extreme. Furthermore, the handy kitchen knife has enough lethality. The key is to use a kitchen knife to chop people. It is really inelegant. With the black tie heavy sword, the handy kitchen knife can basically be retired. Find an opportunity and see who likes it. Just give it away. The last gem of knowledge surprised Yi Zhan the most. The knowledge gem comes from the King of Glory. The effect of the gem is set in the game. When one's own economy is the lowest among teammates, one can gain an economy of 5 gold coins every 3 seconds. At the same time, when teammates gain economy, share 30% of the income with yourself and do not occupy the economy of teammates. And the effect of this knowledge gem in reality is that there is no limit. 5 spiritual stones can be obtained every hour, and the effect is permanent. 5 spiritual stones per hour means 120 spiritual stones per day, and 3,600 spiritual stones per month. Now in the early stage of awakening, spirit stones are very precious. For example, Magic City University is among the best among major universities, second only to Mizuki and Beijing University. As for the students of Shanghai University of Science and Technology, A-level awakened ones, the number of spiritual stones provided each month is 5 yuan, and S-level awakened ones are 10 yuan. Yi Zhan and Su Mengli, because of Su Mengli's SSS level talent, Modu University at that time gave them 40 times the spiritual stones of ordinary S-level awakeners, which was 400 yuan. After the two of them split, one person $200. The big reason why Yi Zhan was targeted before was because he was an A-level awakened person and enjoyed 200 spiritual stones per month, and his treatment was far higher than that of other S-level awakened people. And now, Yi Zhan owns this knowledge gem. He can receive 3,600 spiritual stones every month by using the knowledge gem to receive the minimum living allowance. Yi Zhan estimated that the entire Awakening Academy of Ermodu University only supplies close to 10,000 yuan of spiritual stones every month. Yi Zhan's resources now are comparable to 1/3 of the entire academy. To describe Yi Zhan now as getting rich overnight is not an exaggeration at all. Afterwards, he directly received the knowledge gem and stored it in the system space. In this way, every time the time comes, the spiritual stones received from the knowledge gems will be directly distributed in the system space. You can earn spiritual stones while lying down. It is exciting to think about it. Yi Zhan couldn't help but remember that in his previous life, he was a C-level ability user and was not qualified to contact prestigious universities. He didn't know anything about spiritual stones. Until during a difficult mission, after killing a group of disgusting venom toads with his teammates, he received an official spiritual stone as a reward. At that time, Yi Zhan had several wounds corroded by venomous toads, his clothes were in tatters, and his eyes were bloodshot. After he received the official reward, he felt as if he had found a treasure. He hid the stone in his pocket and held it tightly, not daring to let go for fear that the stone would be lost. Then Yi Zhan happily returned to the house he rented, took out the spirit stone, and absorbed the spirit stone with excitement and trembling. His ability development level also directly improved a lot. Now that I think about it, I had a really miserable life in my previous life. Remembering the bitterness and remembering the sweetness, Yi Zhan thought about how miserable he was in his previous life, but now he could earn spiritual stones even while lying down. He was so happy that he soon fell into a sweet dream. In his dream, Yi Zhan appeared on the battlefield of the Demon City Guard battle. He once again saw the Red Lotus Empress Su Mengli fighting against the stunning Kunpeng. Yi Zhan looked at this scene and wanted to go up to help, but he was horrified to find that he was only a C-level ability user. There was no such thing as an S-level dragon elephant prison suppressing body or a mighty dragon. He watched helplessly as Su Mengli and Jingxi Kunpeng died together again, but he himself was helpless. In the end, because he was distracted, the tentacles of an alienated octopus inserted into his mouth again, entered his internal organs along his throat and esophagus, then smashed all his internal organs into pieces, and threw him away. Then, Yi Zhan suddenly woke up from his nightmare. He clenched his hands into fists and felt the powerful power in his body. This kind of power was something he had never experienced in his previous life. However, even with such power, in the battle to defend the magical city, it was only a cannon fodder, unable to influence the situation of the battle at all, let alone save his beloved woman. Yi Zan, you can't slack off, work hard to improve your strength, not to mention saving the world, but at least save your own woman. In the next few days, Yi Zan and Su Mengli activated double practice cards every day and practiced together. The practice efficiency was maintained at a very good efficiency. Yi Zan's spiritual stones also increased day by day because of the knowledge gems. More than a day. 8 days later, Yi Zan's strength improved a small level, his development level reached 7%, and he had the power of 7 elephants. According to Su Mengli, the development rate has been greatly improved, but because the upper limit is too high, the progress is only a few percent now. In addition, during this period, in addition to practicing, Lyn Shu will also arrange some practical exercises from time to time to allow the students of the Awakened Academy to adapt to their own abilities. As of now, the Academy of Awakeners has been in session for 10 days. On this day, an urgent and piercing bell suddenly rang in the academy, and a group of students quickly gathered on the playground. At this moment, in the playground, there were already several buses parked there. Afterwards, Lyn Shu clapped his hands and said, "Everyone, you have all improved over a period of time and have sufficient control over your own abilities. Next, there is an important task for you." A group of awakened snakes attacked the Magic City Zoo. Now the people have been basically evacuated, but the danger in the zoo is very high and it is difficult for the police to deal with it. Therefore, it is up to you to handle the awakening snake incident this time. We named this mission the Python Disaster, and the entire mission process was videotaped. Your performance in this mission will be sent to the senior management. Your performance will affect your ability to enter the Qianlong project. Everyone, perform well. Quote. Yes, a group of students responded vigorously. Afterwards, everyone quickly got on the bus, and then the bus drove quickly towards the zoo. Yi Zan and Su Mengli sat together. Su Mengli clenched her fists tightly and looked a little nervous. Yi Zan wrapped her hand in his palm and said, "Don't be nervous, I'm here." Qin Heng in the back row said, "How can it be so easy? This is our first mission, the disaster of wild pythons. I wonder how powerful those alienated pythons are." Yi Zan glanced at Qin Heng and said, "Didn't you ask the academy to specially order a sword? No matter how fierce the snake is, just cut him into pieces with a sword." Qin Heng shook his head and said, "I have tried it. The hardness and sharpness of the sword customized by the academy are indeed very high, but this is only high in the traditional sense. It may not be useful when facing those strange beasts." During this period of time, although they were mainly practicing, Lyn Shu arranged for a group of people to watch a lot of videos related to alien animals. Most of these alienated animals were huge in size, had rough skin and thick flesh, and were very ferocious. His sword, the quality is still a bit lacking. After hearing Qin Heng's words, Yi Zan had some thoughts in his mind. The cold iron kitchen knife was of little help to him. The main reason was that Yi Zan was a player of the strength system, and the black iron heavy sword was more effective. If the cold iron kitchen knife is cast into the shape of a sword, it should greatly improve Qin Heng's combat effectiveness, right? After all, Qin Heng's sword is famous for its speed and flexibility. When paired with the sharpness of the cold iron kitchen knife, its lethality will also be greatly increased. Moreover, Yi Zan did this not just to help Qin Heng. Qin Heng's favorability level for Yi Zan was 55 points. This level was equivalent to that of a good brother. As for Qin Heng, during this period, he has always hoped that he would have a good weapon. If Yi Zan helps him solve this big problem, I am afraid that his favorability level will most likely increase to 70 points. 70 points of favorability, for the same gender, is the level of close buddies. For the opposite gender, it is naturally the level of a couple in love. With 70 points of favorability, Yi Zan can draw another prize, and all he has to pay is a kitchen knife that has been eliminated, which is quite cost-effective. Therefore, Yi Zan decided that after this mission was completed, he would help Qin Heng upgrade his equipment and he could also draw a prize. The bus drove at full speed all the way. The traffic police should have said hello in advance. The road was very smooth. 20 minutes later, the bus stopped at the gate of the zoo. The area around the zoo has been cordoned off, and thick realgar powder has been sprinkled on the ground. At the same time, police have been deployed to prevent the mutated pythons in the zoo from rushing out and causing trouble everywhere. Yizan and others got out of the car, crossed the blockade, and walked inside step by step. The Magic City Zoo covers a large area and has a very nice environment. It usually has a lot of tourists, but now it is completely silent. Not to mention the tourists, you can't even hear the sounds of the animals. Within 2 minutes, the group arrived at the poultry area and saw some messy feathers and a lot of blood on the ground. Surrounded by snakes, one after another, they were entangled on the ground and on the iron cage. Their bellies looked bulging. It was obvious that they had eaten a lot. After Yizan and the others appeared, these mutated snakes immediately noticed it. They straightened up one by one, swallowing snake messages, waiting for an opportunity to attack. Yizan looked at the dense group of snakes, and his expression also changed. There were too many of these snakes, and they were too fat. These snakes come in different sizes, and most of them look venomous. Their original maximum body size is only 1 to 2 to 3 meters in length. But at a glance, there are only a few of them below 5 meters in size. Each one has a strong and long body, is dark and powerful, and has shiny snake scales. It is obviously very difficult to deal with them. Finally, these snakes surrounded them and attacked the students. Yizan and others naturally would not be beaten and immediately launched a counterattack. Yizan took off the dark iron heavy sword from his body, and then rushed towards the group of snakes. The 99 and 81 kilogram dark iron heavy sword, coupled with Yizan's terrifying power, smashed it with one sword. The head of a giant snake with a body length of 7 or 8 meters was directly beaten into a pulp by Yizan, and the snake's body was still twitching randomly. Su Mengli also took action. The red lotus shadow appeared around her. Above the shadow, divine beasts made of flames appeared. They each made different sounds and rushed towards the giant snakes. The mythical beasts condensed by these flames could not withstand Yizan's fist before because Yizan had the blessing of the witch's cloak and the magic resistance was too high. But it's different now. Although these giant pythons in front of them are huge in size and look rough-skinned and thick flesh, they are still far from able to withstand the SSS level red lotus karmic fire. After these flame beasts touched these pythons, they immediately burned violently. The bodies of these pythons seemed not to be made of flesh and blood, but like paper. They were like accelerants, causing the fire to rapidly expand, one after another. A large python was burned to ashes by Su Mengli. Others were not willing to lag behind and started taking action one after another. However, their strength is not as good as that of Yizan. Although their abilities can be effective, their efficiency is not as good as that of Yizan, let alone compared with Su Mengli. Su Mengli relied on her super high ability level to crush these snakes. As for Yizan, his ability level is only S level, but his ability development rate has reached 7%. In addition, he has a magic weapon like the dark iron heavy sword. Therefore, although his efficiency is not as good as Su Mengli, it is better than others, but much stronger. Soon, the nearby pythons were cleared away. Most of the pythons had been burned to ashes by Su Mengli, and a small number had their heads smashed by Yizan with a black iron heavy sword. As for the others, they died in various ways. Some were struck to death by lightning, some were stabbed to death with swords, and some were frozen to death. The previous battles were quite turbulent, and the Magic City Zoo was quite large, but these mutated pythons had evolved their senses of hearing and smell. Therefore, the mutated pythons entrenched in other places rushed over one after another and surrounded the people again. This time, the number of pythons that rushed over was several times that of before, and their sizes were also larger. They stared at the students of the Awakened Academy with their vertical eyes, and a strong fishy smell also spread. At this moment, all the students looked a little nervous. There were too many of these mutant pythons, and they were huge. So many giant pythons were entangled with each other, forming like a mountain of flesh, surrounding everyone, and it was quite oppressive. At this moment, the group of pythons surrounding them suddenly squirmed uneasily, and then, like a tide, they retreated to both sides, forming a wide passage. Then, a huge python appeared in front of everyone. This python is obviously the king among this group of mutated pythons. Its size reaches 30 meters long. Standing upright, it is as high as a 10-story building, and its body is more than 2 meters in diameter. It can easily swallow a person alive by opening its mouth slightly. The scales on its body are black and shiny, and it looks harder than steel. In addition, a pair of rather sharp-looking claws grew out 5 or 6 meters below its head. This was completely different from other mutated pythons. A big python turns into a dragon, and a big dragon turns into a dragon. Not to mention Jackie Chan's son, the alienated dragon in front of him is not easy to deal with. All the students in the Awakening Academy clearly feel the pressure. Finally, the dragon moved its mouth. It opened its mouth wide, and then, a thick water column shot out from its mouth and shot toward everyone. When Yizan saw this water column, his expression suddenly changed and he said, "Everyone, be careful, this water is poisonous." Yizan said, standing directly in front of Su Mengli to prevent Su Mengli from being splashed by the venom. Su Mengli's expression was solemn. She opened her hands and pushed toward the void in front of her. Then, the Karma Red Lotus around Su Mengli expanded a lot. The enlarged Karma Fire Red Lotus protected all the students of the Awakened Academy, while the water column sprayed out by the dragon was blocked by the Karma Fire Red Lotus. The water column and the enlarged Karma Fire Red Lotus formed a stalemate, but Yizan knew very well that with Su Mengli's current ability development speed, it would be quite laborious to directly use the Life Red Lotus, and it would not last long at all. Yizan immediately said, "What are you still doing? Take action quickly." As soon as Yizan said these words, everyone woke up from a dream, and everyone used their own abilities to attack the dragon. Qin Heng controlled his big sword and shot hard at the dragon's eyeballs. As a result, the dragon just closed its eyelids and blocked the big sword. The blade of the sword collided with Zhao's eyelids, making a sound of gold and iron, and even sparks appeared. Zhao Lei controlled the power of thunder and lightning and bombarded the dragon. The thunder and lightning struck the dragon, but it was like tickling it, without any change. All kinds of abilities fell on Zhaolong, but they couldn't work. Everyone's attacks are too weak for this dragon. The only threat to it, the Red Lotus Karmic Fire, can only defend at this moment and cannot launch a counterattack. Finally, Yizan also took action. He rushed out of the protection range of the Karma Fire Red Lotus, then jumped up with his whole body and rushed towards the dragon. Around him, dozens of giant pythons that were several sizes smaller rushed towards Yizan, preparing to use the Sea of AA Snakes tactic to stop Yizan. Seeing that Yizan was about to be overwhelmed by the snakes, however, he heard Yizan's domineering voice, "The mighty heavenly dragon, the world-honored Saitagarbha, Prajna Buddhas, Prajna Bama Kong." Immediately, strong golden light was released from Yizan's body. This golden light was the evil destroying power of the mighty Tianlong. Dragons have natural restraint against dragons and snakes. Coupled with the evil destroying power of the mighty dragon, they also have a restraining effect against demons and heretics. Now under this double restraint, these pythons seemed to have seen their natural enemies. The dozens of giant pythons that surrounded Yizan suddenly began to tremble after golden light bloomed all over Yizan. His whole body was sore and weak, and he lay slumped on the ground, without even the strength to escape. Yizan didn't pay attention to these little guys. His whole body was glowing with golden light, and he jumped up. The power of the mighty dragon was blessed on the dark iron épée, making the black iron épée became golden. Then, Yizan held the black iron heavy sword and slashed at the dragon that was spitting poisonous water. This dragon is the king of snakes, and its degree of alienation is much higher than that of other snakes. However, it is still unable to get rid of the shackles of instinct and resist the double pressure brought by the powerful Tianlong. The dark iron heavy sword was chopped down with a sword. At the same time, the sound of dragon roar sounded. Yizan's dark iron heavy sword cut the huge head of the dragon in half like cutting tofu. The dark red blood was desperately swaying around as if it was free of money. The body of the dragon also fell heavily to the ground. The body swayed randomly a few times and gradually lost its vitality. All the students were stunned and looked at this scene in shock. How could such a big guy be killed by Yizan just like that? Isn't this too awesome? In the previous state, several students couldn't help but want to ask for help. After all, the dragon was so powerful. It swallowed poisonous water and restrained Su Mengli. Everyone's attacks were ineffective against it, and there were still people around it. There are countless pythons entrenched, and there is no chance at all. The only choice is for the college leaders to take action. Unexpectedly, in this situation, Yizan could turn defeat into victory. First, his whole body glowed with golden light, forcing the snakes back, and then split the head of the dragon with a kick. The whole process was smooth and domineering. Regardless of men or women, they couldn't help but feel good about Yizan at this moment. Congratulations to the host. The favorability of the genius Zhang Qian has been increased to 35 points, and the favorability of the genius Zhou Dao has been increased to 30 points. There are 2 more students whose favorability towards Yizan has reached 30 points, reaching the lottery standard, which can be regarded as an unexpected surprise. That dragon was dealt with, and the other pythons were leaderless, which was much easier to deal with. In addition, Yizan inspired the power of the mighty dragon. The golden light all over his body is too oppressive for these pythons. They are in a state of sluggishness and weakness, as if they are paralyzed. Naturally, there is no difficulty in dealing with them. Therefore, the next battle is a random killing without any suspense. Just when Su Mengli was about to take action, Lyn Shu's voice came from Su Mengli's headset. Student Su, this trial and assessment is over. Next, you'd better not take action. Because of the alienation, the flesh and blood of these alienated pythons are much more delicious than those of ordinary pythons. Moreover, flesh and blood contains spiritual energy, which has certain benefits for spiritual practice. Eating it can also strengthen the body. Everyone should pay attention to it and keep the snake body intact so that everyone can enjoy it. Quote. As soon as Lyn Shu said these words, Su Mengli stopped taking action. As long as the snake was contaminated by her red lotus fire, it would be like ignited gasoline. Soon the entire python would burn out, leaving nothing behind. In order to ensure the loot, she had no choice but to stop. Yizan also couldn't take action again, because Yizan's strike was too heavy. With one strike of the sword, it was just a lump of meat. Although it was not as exaggerated as Su Mengli, it was still a waste of food. Moreover, Yizan has already shown enough strength, so he has to let other students perform and test his abilities. After Yizan and Su Mengli were stopped by Lyn Shu, they had nothing to do. They simply held hands and watched others take action. Yizan had rich combat experience in his previous life, but now he has nothing to do. He simply began to give instructions to his classmates. Qin Heng, your ability is sword control and nothing else. What are you doing so close to a python? Zhao Lei, your ability development is too low, and the power of thunder and lightning has limited damage, so you can play support. By adding the power of thunder and lightning to Qin Heng's great sword, wouldn't the lethality be greatly increased? Why don't you know how to adapt at all? And you, Zhang Qian. At this moment, Yizan was driving a sightseeing car prepared by the zoo for tourists. He was holding the steering wheel with one hand and holding Su Mengli's delicate hand with the other. He was driving around with the other students and was giving directions to everyone. Relaxed and comfortable. And all the students were filled with hatred at this moment. After Yizan stopped taking action, the power of the powerful Tianlong was withdrawn and the pressure disappeared. These pythons would not sit still and wait for death, and Su Mengli did not take any action. It was still very difficult for the other students to deal with these pythons at the moment. Yizan and Su Mengli were better off, driving a sightseeing bus, holding hands, showing off their affection, and making sarcastic remarks. Although Yizan's advice was indeed useful, it made everyone very unhappy. However, they were unhappy, but they couldn't do anything about it. Who made the gap in strength between everyone so big? Yizan and the two were sightseeing in a sightseeing car. If any pythons without eyes dared to charge up, Yizan slightly released a ray of mighty dragon power. These pythons would be frightened to death. How could they dare to charge up? The only pity is that the attack by the mutant snakes was too sudden. Basically all the animals in the zoo were killed by the mutant pythons, and not only were they killed, but they were eaten directly. Pythons have a big appetite, otherwise there would be no saying that snakes swallow elephants, especially mutated pythons. Before the students from the Magic City arrived, almost all the animals in the zoo had been eaten, and it was almost impossible to save them. At this moment, Yizan once again experienced the ferocity of the alien beasts. This group of awakened snakes attacked the zoo, so there were relatively few human casualties. If a village is attacked, I am afraid that the entire village will become food for the python. As the battle continued, the students of the Awakened Academy gradually gained the upper hand. Each of them had outstanding talents and strong physical strength. However, they didn't know how to cooperate at first and had too little combat experience. At this moment, with the continuous fighting and running in, the strength they can display is getting stronger and stronger. As for the awakened pythons in the zoo, their numbers continued to decrease. They gradually became no match and were killed to death. More than half an hour passed, and this time the mission of the python disaster was finally completed. At this moment, everyone was in a mess, stained with a lot of blood and dust, and they were sweating profusely. Embarrassed. At this moment, Yi Zan, who was driving the sightseeing bus, applauded and said, "Everyone performed well and made great progress. Let's go, it's time to go back to school." Yi Zan said, stepped on the accelerator and drove Su Mengli towards the exit of the zoo. Qin Heng said quickly, "Yi Zan, wait for me." Yi Zan said without looking back, "You can go alone. You are too dirty. What should we do if you smell the smoke in our house?" Seeing the sightseeing bus drive away, the students who had not had time to enjoy the joy of victory were all a little frustrated. Yi Zan and Su Mengli were both here to perform the mission. They were definitely the best in the game. The MVP of this mission was born between them. However, the two of them were clean and tidy, even their hair was not messed up, but they were in a mess and smelled sour. They didn't even have the chance to sit in the same sightseeing car with them. The gap was too big, right? Within a few minutes, Yi Zan and Su Mengli arrived at the entrance of the zoo. The school was already communicating with the relevant departments to let them go in and deal with the scene. Yi Zan and Su Mengli got off the sightseeing bus. Lyn Shu looked at the two of them, gave Yi Zan a thumbs up and said, "Good boy, your performance this time is unexpected. The next time, as long as your cultivation progress is not slowed down, there will be a spot for you in the Qianlong project, eh?" Yi Zan smiled and said, "Don't worry, the Qianlong project will definitely involve me." Lyn Shu said with satisfaction, "I just like your confidence. By the way, Mr. Su, our teacher Qi seems to have something to say to you. She is on the bus." Su Mengli heard this and said, "Well, I'll be there right away." Su Mengli was very grateful to Qi Yu. Back in Zhongcheng, Qi Yu was one of the few teachers who was willing to help her, and she also respected Qi Yu. Soon, Su Mengli came to the bus and said, "Teacher Qi, what do you want from me?" At this moment, none of the other students have returned, and the driver is not here either. There are only two people, Qi Yu and Su Mengli. Qi Yu looked at Su Mengli, pondered for a while, and then said awkwardly, "That's it, classmate Su, what do you think of Yi Zan?" Su Mengli was stunned for a moment, then said, "He is very good." After Yi Zan's public kiss in the martial arts arena, the relationship between the two has been completely disclosed, and there is nothing to hide. Qi Yu was a little embarrassed. In fact, it was not her own idea that she went to Su Mengli this time, but an order from Dean Lyn Shu. Not long ago, Lyn Shu found Qi Yu and told Qi Yu that Yi Zan and Su Mengli were both awakened geniuses with amazing talents. According to the current information, the talents of awakened people are closely related to heredity. Yi Zan and Su Mengli, a geek and a genius, have a very high probability of giving birth to a child who is a super genius. If an SSS-level awakened person can be born, then when he grows up, the future of mankind will be brighter. A trump card. Therefore, Lyn Shu told Qi Yu to persuade Su Mengli that today's era is different from the past. If the two of them can have a child, Shanghai University will support them and take care of them in all aspects, even it can also give them a lot of benefits as a couple. Qi Yu knew that what Lyn Shu said made sense, but the problem was that although she was a few years older than Su Mengli, but she herself is a young girl who has never been married or had children. Now she has to persuade her students to get pregnant and have children, which always feels weird and a bit hard to let go. She pondered for a moment and then said, "Then have you ever thought about having a baby soon?" As soon as Qi Yu finished speaking, his face turned red, and so did Su Mengli's face. She looked at Qi Yu and said, "Teacher Qi, I remember not long ago, you said, let us pay attention to safety and don't kill anyone." Now that she has opened her mouth, Qi Yu is willing to go all out, and she said directly, "This is what Dean Lin meant, you and Yi Zan are both amazingly talented. And your relationship is also very good. If you can have a child, your talent will definitely not be low in the future. This child in the future may also be the hope of mankind. Quote. Su Mengli's face turned red and she said, Teacher Chi, we haven't reached that point yet. You said this too quickly. Let's talk about it later. After Su Mengli finished speaking, she found a seat on the bus and sat down. On the other side, Lyn Shu also said to Yi Zan, You kid, seeing that you and Su Mengli have such a good relationship, why don't you even dare to book a room? Yi Zan also looked at Lyn Shu blankly and said, Dean Lin, what are you talking about? You, the dean, are encouraging us to get a room. Isn't this too strange? Lyn Shu said confidently, What's so strange about this? Your talents are high and your genes are good, so your children will definitely be the same. In the future, your children may be the saviors of all mankind. Moreover, does Nati the country now advocate 2 or 3 children? I am doing this for your sake. You are 18 this year, right? 1 child every 2 years, until the age of 30, your fertility mission is completed. Quote. Yi Zan was drinking from a bottle of mineral water at the moment. When he heard these words, he directly sprayed a sip of water on Lyn Shu's face, giving Dean Lin a chill. Yi Zan looked innocent and said, You can't blame me for this. You give birth to 1 every 2 years, and you treat us as breeding pigs. Why don't you give birth to 1 yourself? Lyn Shu wiped a handful of mineral water on his face and added saliva, and said, Okay, in short, as long as you understand what I mean, when you have children, you are not only giving birth to yourself but also making a contribution to all mankind. When the time comes, the state will give you subsidies, our college will also give you rewards, and I can take care of your children. Quote. Yi Zan immediately said, No, I'm not interested in anything you said. As for the rest, just let it take its course. After Yi Zan finished speaking, he ran away from Lyn Shu, got on the bus, and sat next to Su Mengli. There was a faint blush on Su Mengli's face. She was so frightened by Chi Yu's words just now. Even when Yi Zan sat over, she subconsciously hid for a moment, for fear that Yi Zan would have a baby with her in the next second. Yi Zan saw it and smiled bitterly. What's wrong with you? Am I so scary? Su Mengli shook her head and said, No, it's just that Teacher Chi told me something just now. When Yi Zan saw it, he understood what was going on. What Chi Yu said to his girlfriend was probably the same as giving birth to a child, right? No wonder it scares Mengli. The favorability level between Yi Zan and Su Mengli has reached 70, which is the level of a couple, but they are still far away from having children. Besides, the 2 of them are still in college. Even if the spiritual energy is revived and the world changes, this child is not a matter of urgency. Thinking about it, Yi Xuandao said, Dean Lin also told me something, but it's all nonsense, so don't pay attention to them. Yi Zan said, putting Su Mengli's little hand in his palm. He was now used to holding the Empress's hand, as if he had grasped the whole world. After a while, other people from the college came back. Each of them was in a mess. The blood, sweat, and dust on their clothes were mixed together, exuding a strong sour smell, which formed a strong contrast with Yi Zan and Su Mengli. Yi Zan immediately slapped his nose a few times in disgust and said, Mengli, why don't we take a taxi? This stinks. Su Mengli said, Okay, let's take a taxi. Hearing the 2 people's blatant dislike, the eyes of the students in the car became quite resentful. However, no one dared to express their dissatisfaction. After all, the difference in everyone's performance at the zoo was too big. Su Mengli resisted the poisonous water attack of the dragon head-on, and Yi Zan even split the dragon in half with 1 sword. Comparatively speaking, everyone else is just soy sauce. Facing these 2 peerless fierce men, both male and female, everyone can only complain in their hearts and dare not show it at all. Soon, Yi Zan and Su Mengli returned to the Academy of Awakeners. As soon as they got off the taxi, they met Yi Shui. Yi Shui looked at the 2 of them and said, Didn't you go to the trial? Are you back so soon? Where are the others? Yi Xuandao. The others took the bus, and we came back early. Yi Shui smiled and said, Just in time, my sister has come to the Magic City and hasn't had a good stroll yet. Mengli, would you like to accompany me for a stroll? Su Mengli smiled and said, Okay. Not to mention that Yi Shui is Yi Zan's biological sister. Yi Shui himself is also very kind to her regarding the matter of Iwujiwu. Of course she will not refuse such a small thing. Yi Zan saw him and said, "Then you go and have a look. I'm going back to the dormitory first." Yi Shui said impatiently. Go, Mengli, let's go." Yi Zan returned to the dormitory and said silently in his heart, "System, do 2 consecutive draws. Congratulations to the host, you have won an awakening fruit and a wide-sleeved fairy skirt." Yi Zan was quite surprised when he heard this system prompt. There was even an awakening fruit. Is it similar to a devil fruit? Awakening fruit. A-level hurricane fruit. After taking it, you can awaken the power of an A-level hurricane. Those awakened below a level will replace the original ability after taking it. Those awakened above a level have no effect. Fairy dress with wide sleeves. A treasure of the ancient palace, extremely gorgeous in style, invulnerable to invulnerability, water and fire, and has a self-cleaning function. Yi Zan was very satisfied when he saw these 2 prizes. Lita S talk about the awakening fruit first. Ida S likes sleeping on the pillow. About a month later, Mudu University will officially start the semester ahead of schedule. At that time, other ordinary students and faculty of Mudu University will be eligible to use the Awakening Spirit Ball to awaken. Yi Shui came to the Magic City this time. In addition to being able to be with her younger brother and sister-in-law, she also thought about awakening some abilities and making her future life more interesting. But Yi Zan knew very well that his sister did not have any abilities in the previous life. If she had, she would not have married that scumbag in order to protect her family, which eventually led to her death. Whether in the past life or in this life, her sister Yi Shui took great care of Yi Zan. In Yi Zan's heart, her sister's importance was no lower than that of the current empress. With this awakening fruit, my sister's fate has been completely changed. Her hurricane ability and ability to control wind, although it is a level, is pretty good. A level is currently the mainstream level in the Academy of Awakeners at Modu University, although compared with monsters such as Yi Zan and Su Mengli, it is indeed a bit inferior. But compared to the entire human society, it is actually pretty good, and Yi Zan is already very satisfied. As for the fairy dress with wide sleeves, there is no doubt that it is prepared for the empress. This fairy dress with wide sleeves is extremely gorgeous and can make the empress even more charming. In addition, the empress's red lotus fire is unparalleled in attack and relatively weak in defense. This wide-sleeved fairy skirt is invulnerable and can withstand some ordinary physical attacks. Moreover, it is impervious to water and fire, and it also has its own cleaning function. In this way, even after a hearty battle, the empress will remain fragrant and beautiful. Girls will like it, right? Next, Yi Zan thought, and the wide-sleeved fairy skirt and the awakening fruit appeared in Yi Zan's left hand. The wide-sleeved flowing fairy skirt was just like Yi Zan imagined. It looked extremely gorgeous just by looking at it. It had a faint layer of fluorescence on it and was as light as wings. It had an icy cool feeling to the touch, which was quite magical. As for the awakening fruit, Yi Zan was surprised by its appearance. The awakening fruit looked like a big red apple. Later, Yi Zan called Yi Shui. "Sister, have you finished shopping? It's early, what can I do?" "It's okay. When you go back to school, give me a call. I have a gift for you." Yi Shui was very happy after hearing this. "My dear brother, do you know that you feel sorry for your sister?" "Okay, I will call you later." Another hour and a half later, Yi Shui and Su Mengli came back. Yi Shui was carrying large and small bags in her hands and seemed to be in a good mood. Su Mengli also carried a few clothing bags, which Yi Shui should have bought for her. Yi Shui looked at Yi Zan and said, "Brother, I heard that you want to give your sister a gift. Where is the gift?" Yi Shui's eyes were placed on the paper bag held in Yi Zan's hand. It looked like a piece of clothing inside. Then, Yi Zan put his hand into his pocket, and took out an apple. "Sister, this is my gift to you. Eat it and replenish your vitamins. Mengli, this is my gift to you, a very magical dress." Under Yi Shui's dull gaze, Yi Zan put the big red apple into his sister's hand, and then handed the paper bag with the wide-sleeved fairy skirt to Su Mengli. Su Mengli looked at Yi Shui's expression and said, "Yi Zan, my sister seems to like this dress very much. Why don't you give it to me?" Yi Shui listened to Su Mengli's words, took the big apple in her hand, took a big bite, and said, Mengli, you'd better be nice to your sister. Yi Zan, this boy is a heartless boy. Give me a big apple. I don't want that dress, sister, I have money, I will buy it myself. Quote. Yi Shui seemed to be really angry. When she bit the apple very hard. After 3 or 5 bites, the whole apple was chewed down to only the core. However, just after eating the apple, Yi Shui felt that there was a force in her body that wanted to be released, and she couldn't help but let out a sweet cry. Then, her entire body suddenly rose into the air, 3 or 4 meters above the ground. Fortunately, Yi Shui was wearing jeans today, otherwise, at this height, once someone passes by, they will see everything they should and should not see. Su Mengli and Yi Zan also looked at Yi Shui flying into the sky in surprise, and said, Sister, what's wrong with you? Yi Shui was stunned for several seconds, then laughed loudly and said, Awakened, I am awakened. I am also an awakened one. 99.999% of the awakened people are awakened through the awakening spirit ball, and a very small number of them awaken independently. Now that the spiritual energy recovery has been public for some time, ordinary people have basically understood the awakened ones. Therefore, Yi Shui realized so quickly that she was awakened. Yi Zan saw it and said, Sister, since you've awakened, come down here. Mengli and I are too tired talking to you like this. After hearing this, Yi Shui said, Come down. Land. Get down. Shu. Yi Shui was chattering in the sky, switching from Chinese to English, and even using horse language. Unfortunately, her body was floating in the air, motionless, and even slightly higher. At this time, other students came over and looked at the sky. What is going on? Yi Zan glanced at his sister, feeling a little embarrassed, and said, I've awakened my abilities, but I'm not very good at controlling them yet, so that's why. The ability to float in the air. It's pretty awesome. This seems to be the legal advisor of our Academy of Awakeners. Is she also awakened? Consultant Yi is an elite lawyer. He used to be so cold, but now he looks a little stupid. In the sky, Yi Shui was also extremely embarrassed. At this moment, the only thing she was happy about was that she was wearing jeans. If she were wearing a skirt, she would really be socially dead. But even so, as more and more classmates gathered, she felt really embarrassed, and she didn't know where a force came from in her body. Then, with a hiss, she flew higher and further like a rocket. Yi Zan's expression changed and he said, Is everything going to be okay? Su Mengli saw it and said, Don't worry, I'll go find Sister Yi Shui. Su Mengli said, concentrating her thoughts, and then a pair of huge flame wings appeared on her back. The flame wings flapped, and her body also rose into the wind, quickly chasing Yi Shui. Yi Zan looked at this scene and felt a little envious in his heart. Although his dragon elephant prison suppressing body was powerful, it unfortunately didn't have the power to fly. With his strength, Yi Zan could jump tens of meters high, but it was still jumping, not flying. Yi Zan was quite envious of Yi Shui and Su Mengli's abilities. Yi Shui didn't fly very far. After all, she had just awakened and her abilities were limited. Not long after she flew out, she started to hit the ground. Yi Shui suddenly screamed in fright. Fortunately, Su Mengli was faster. She caught up with Yi Shui, and then wrapped Yi Shui with her flame wings, causing Yi Shui to slowly fall from the air. Yi Shui looked at Su Mengli and said, Mengli, thank you, otherwise I'm afraid I would have been killed. Su Mengli smiled and said, No, the physique of the awakened person is much stronger than that of ordinary people. Even if they are really bumped into, they will be disfigured at most. Yi Shui suddenly laughed after hearing this. Mengli, you are much more cheerful than before, and you can even joke. If you really want to disfigure me, I might as well hit you to death. At this time, Su Mengli suddenly said, By the way, sister, where is the big bag of clothes you just carried? Yi Shui explained, I rushed too fast at that time. How could I care about those things? I don't know where I dropped them, but it doesn't matter. I will buy them next time. The most important thing now is that my sister is also an awakened person. Yi Zan, that boy, dare to give me an apple as a gift, let us see how I teach him a lesson. After hearing this, Su Mengli said, Sister, you are wrong to blame Yi Zan. What's the meaning? Su Mengli smiled mysteriously. Sister, tell me, why didn't you wake up earlier or later, but why did you wake up after eating that apple? You mean, it was that apple that made me awaken? Yi Shui said in surprise. Su Mengli nodded and said, I think so, otherwise why would he give you an apple for no reason, and then you would wake up after eating the apple? After hearing this, Yi Shui was quite happy and said, this boy still has some conscience and has not forgotten my sister. By the way, Mengli, didn't that boy Yi Zan give you a set of clothes? Go back and try it out. Half an hour later, all the students in the cafeteria of the Awakened College of Magic City University looked very excited. Tonight, the main food in the cafeteria is the whole snake feast. The awakened python has tender meat, rich nutrition, and contains spiritual energy, which is of great benefit to practice. Moreover, these snakes are huge, and the cooked meat looks no different from ordinary pork. Even girls can eat normally. Everyone is in high spirits and eats very happily. At this time, Yi Shui and Su Mengli walked in, and the eyes of all the students immediately focused on Su Mengli. Su Mengli was as beautiful as the person in the painting, with impeccable figure and appearance. And this fairy dress with wide sleeves is a treasure of the ancient palace. It is unparalleled in gorgeousness. It matches Su Mengli's temperament perfectly. When Su Mengli put on this fairy dress with wide sleeves, she looked like a goddess coming to earth, extremely beautiful. Ordinary people would feel inexplicably ashamed of themselves if they only dared to look at her. They lowered their heads and did not dare to look directly at Su Mengli. At this moment, Yi Shui has completely become a foil for her younger siblings, but she doesn't care. She knows some secrets from her younger brother and knows what her younger siblings will be like in the future. She has never been jealous of Su Mengli. Holding her thighs honestly is better than anything else. So what if she is the green leaves next to the flowers? When Su Mengli grows up and becomes the Red Lotus Empress that Yi Zan said can defend the city alone, how many people will dare to provoke Yi Shui, the sister-in-law? Yi Zan also looked at Su Mengli in amazement. Wearing this wide-sleeved Lushan skirt, although she still did not have the domineering power of the Red Lotus Empress in her previous life, but with the bonus brought by the Lushan skirt, her fairy aura was even stronger. Even in the past life, people dare not look directly at it. Immediately, Su Mengli and Yi Shui came to Yi Zan, and the three of them began to enjoy the awakened python. The cafeteria chef of Shanghai University of Science and Technology is very good at cooking. The awakened python is fried and stir-fried in various ways, with different side dishes. There are more than 100 dishes, each with different flavors. The flavors are all equally delicious. Some girls who are losing weight hate themselves and can't control their mouths while eating meat in big mouthfuls. It's a gluttonous feast. Lyn Shu, Zhou Cheng and others were also eating heavily. Lyn Shu said while eating, this time, Yi Zan and Su Mengli performed very well. If there are no surprises, the two of them should be able to join Qianlong. Planned. Zhou Cheng nodded and said, that's right. Needless to say, Su Mengli is at the SSS level. No one can take away her spot. But Yi Zan is a surprise. Lyn Shu sighed. The two of them are indeed excellent, but the performance of the others is too average, unlike other top schools. Although they don't have SSS level perverts like Su Mengli, there are a few SS level ones. In addition, there are some geniuses whose development speed increases very quickly, as well as geniuses who are naturally good at fighting. The resource quota that our Magic City University can get this year may not be too high. Quote, spiritual energy is recovering and resources are in short supply. Spiritual stones are the most precious resources, which are in the hands of the state and distributed uniformly. In terms of colleges and universities, what the upper levels adopt is completely based on the laws of natural competition, survival of the fittest. Whichever school has better students will get more resources. The Qianlong plan largely determines the resource quota a university can obtain. The more students who can be selected into the Qianlong plan for a university, the richer its resources will be. In addition, the country is also preparing to open the Qianlong list in the future, allowing all geniuses from major universities to compete in a unified manner. The geniuses on the Qianlong list will be vigorously cultivated by the country and obtain the most precious resources. Now, Yizan and Su Mengli's performance in the Python disaster has been sent to the top management, and the two of them have joined the Hidden Dragon project. It's a pity that the Qianlong project has a total quota of 1,000 people, but Mordu University only occupies 2 places, which is really not a lot. Zhou Cheng said, President Lin, your troops are more valuable than large numbers. What's wrong with the few people? Su Mengli alone can equal 1 to 100. Lyn Shu smiled and said, that's right, it's SSS after all. Speaking of which, it would be great if Yizan was more talented. With her weird abilities, she might be able to compare with Su Mengli in the future. Woolen cloth. Just as Lyn Shu was talking, a hand suddenly patted his shoulder. Dean Lin, what are you talking about? Lyn Shu turned around and saw Yizan standing there. A smile on his face. Lyn Shu looked at Yizan and said, what? Have you figured out what I talked to you about before? Do you want to learn some experience from me, the dean? I can't teach you this matter, otherwise others will say that I am old and disrespectful. Old Joe, I remember that you are interested in those things. Give Yizan a few websites and ask him to learn hard and try to have a baby as soon as possible. Quote. After Zhou Cheng heard Lyn Shu's words, he immediately said angrily, Old Lin, you can't spit on others. When did I become interested in those things? You are slandering people's innocence. Lyn Shu laughed. Look at you, why are you so excited? It's just a joke. After hearing what Lyn Shu said, Yizan said, Dean Lin, I'm here to talk to you about business. If you don't listen, don't regret it. Lyn Shu said, business. You hurry up and have a few children, that's the business. Yizan said lightly, it seems that someone dislikes having too many spiritual stones. In this case, forget it and I will keep it myself. When Lyn Shu heard this, he stood up immediately. Wait, what did you say? Spirit stones. Do you have spirit stones? How many are there? Yizan raised his eyebrows and said, Old Lin, I have been hunting pythons all day today and I am really tired. You want me to stand and talk to you? Lyn Shu glared at Yizan and was about to lose his temper when Zhou Cheng held Lyn Shu's shoulders and said, Dean Lin, Lingxi. After hearing this, Lyn Shu stood up and asked Yizan to sit down, saying, Can you say it now? Yizan moved his shoulders and said, Hey, I cut the dragon snake in half with one sword today. I used too much force and my shoulders hurt. A black line appeared on Lyn Shu's forehead. Zhou Cheng saw it and said again, Dean, spirit stone. Lyn Shu gritted his teeth and put his hand on Yizan's shoulder, massaging Yizan. Although Lyn Shu was angry, the massage technique was good and Yizan felt quite comfortable. After about 10 minutes, Yi Xuankai said, Let's talk about such an important matter about Lingxi in another place. Lyn Shu smiled but said, Okay, let's change the place to talk, but I can tell you, if you dare to play tricks on me, the dean, I will definitely let you know what cruelty means. Zhou Cheng was very worried about Lyn Shu. After all, he, Zhou Cheng, was a gentleman, but Lyn Shu asked him to give Yizan a website. Isn't this a slander of innocence? Therefore, Zhou Cheng did not hesitate to expose Lyn Shu. Yizan, you can rest assured that you and Su Mengli are the treasures of our Awakening Academy. Even if you play tricks on him, he will not do anything to you. Soon, a group of 3 people came to an office. Lyn Shu sat down and said, Yizan, you can tell me, did you find some spiritual stone mine or something else? Yizan shook his head and said, I didn't find the spirit stone mine, but I can provide you with spirit stones. Lyn Shu was stunned. Didn't find the spirit stone mine. Then where did your spirit stone come from? Yizan smiled mysteriously and said, I won't tell you this, but I can lend our college a batch of spiritual stones. At present, I can lend the college 3,000 spiritual stones every month. In 1 year, it is 36,000 spiritual stones. In 5 years, it is 180,000 spiritual stones. After 5 years, the college will repay me 300,000 spiritual stones in one lump sum. Dean, what do you think? Quote. Lyn Shu was stunned when he heard this. Where did you get so many spiritual stones? Yizan spread his hands and said, First of all, it wasn't stolen, and secondly, it wasn't robbed. It came from an above-board way. I can't tell you exactly what happened. Just tell me, did the college borrow it or not? Lyn Shu said directly, Borrow it, of course I will. You need to take out 3,000 yuan first. Yi Zan was stunned for a moment and then said, not yet, I will give it to you at the end of the month. Then let's make an agreement. From now on, at the end of every month, I will bring out 3,000 spiritual stones. Yi Zan can currently receive 3,600 spiritual stones every month through learning gems. With so many spiritual stones, he can't use them at all, so he just leaves them alone. But now that the spiritual energy is in the early stages of recovery, the spiritual stone quotas in major colleges and universities are very tight. Yi Zan's doing this can be regarded as a timely help and a help to the college. At the same time, in the early stages of cultivation, even if Yi Zan and Su Mengli used spiritual stones as food, they could not use that much. Even 600 yuan was more than enough. On the contrary, after 5 years, the recovery of spiritual energy intensified, and at the same time, the ability development of Yi Zan and Su Mengli also improved a lot. At that time, the two people's demand for spiritual stones will increase greatly. 3,600 yuan a month may not be enough. And when the time comes, as the recovery of spiritual energy intensifies, spiritual stones are being mined one after another in various places. The quota of spiritual stones in colleges and universities will be dozens of times higher than now. It will not be difficult to repay Yi Zan for the 300,000 spiritual stones. By doing this, Yi Zan not only helped the Demon City University and sold Lyn Shu a favor, but at the same time, he could also earn spiritual stones to prepare for future training resources. It can be said that he killed 3 birds with 1 stone, with hundreds of benefits and no harm. As for the consequences of doing this, Yi Zan is not worried. He has been recognized as a geek now. As long as he shows enough value, no matter how strange he is, he will not be sectioned for study. After listening to Yi Zan's words, Lyn Shu said, I didn't expect you to be so capable. I like you more and more. Otherwise, how about I accept you as my godson? I will protect you from now on. Yi Zan immediately rolled his eyes. The way you like others is to be their godfather. I'd better forget it. By the way, Dean Lin, I have a small favor. I want to ask you to help. Lyn Shu said directly. You said, as long as you can really lend the college 3,000 spiritual stones every month in the future, I will protect you whether you treat me as my godson or not. The current supply of spiritual stones distributed by the entire Ermidu University is 9,000 yuan, which is actually a bit stretched at the moment. If it can increase by 3,000 yuan every month, which will directly increase the amount by 1/3, then the college will be much richer in spiritual stones. If Yi Zan really does it, he can definitely be regarded as a hero of the Awakened Academy. After hearing this, Yi Zan took out the lacquered cold iron pig-killing knife from his body, and then said, I have a knife here, forged from Tianshan cold iron, it is extremely sharp. But I don't have much use for it now. I wonder if the academy can find a master forger to make it into the shape of a sword. Qin Heng is my friend, I am going to make it into a sword and give it to him. Quote. After hearing this, Lyn Shu took the butcher's knife in his right hand, and then swiped it across the palm of his left hand. The extremely sharp butcher knife immediately cut Lyn Shu's palm, leaving a bright red blood mark on Lyn Shu's hand. However, under the effect of the immortal demon body, the scars on his palms faded and then disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. Then, Lyn Shu looked at the butcher's knife in surprise and said, Not bad, okay. I'll ask a friend to help you and see if you can forge it into a sword. Yi Zan smiled and said, Okay, then I'll trouble Dean Lin. Today, Qin Heng is very thirsty for a good weapon. If Yi Zan can help him in times of need, his favorability will be greatly improved. Moreover, Yi Zan also understands that under normal circumstances, the higher the favorability, the better the lottery reward. When Qin Heng's favorability for Yi Zan reaches 70 points, which is the level of a close friend, the reward drawn should be much more valuable than the previous draws. The next morning, Lyn Shu found Yi Zan with a cold iron kitchen knife. Yi Zan, this knife of yours should be like this for now. Yi Zan was stunned for a moment. What's wrong? Lyn Shu explained. I have already found the relevant forging master. According to them, the reason why this pig-killing knife is extremely sharp is not only its outstanding material, but more importantly, it uses a very magical forging technique. With modern technology, although it can be smelted and cast into a sword shape, its power will be greatly reduced, and it may be difficult to retain even half of its original strength. In the eyes of those forging masters, doing so is a complete waste of resources and a waste of the masterpieces of their ancestors. Quote. Yi Zan could only say, okay, I understand. Lyn Shu said, by the way, you mean, you want to give it to Qin Heng, right? That's right. Lyn Shu smiled and said, actually, there is no problem if you just give it to Qin Heng. Qin Heng's ability is to wield a sword. Swords come in all kinds of strange shapes. Couldn't this kitchen knife also be a sword? Quote. Yi Zan nodded and said, I understand. Are you saying that Qin Heng's ability is actually not that limited? He can control anything he identifies as a sword. Lyn Shu praised. Yes, children can be taught. Qin Heng's abilities have great potential, and the upper limit for subsequent development is also very high. If you try it earlier and let him control this butcher knife, it can be regarded as a kind of training for his ability in advance. Quote. At noon, Yi Zan found Qin Heng. Qin Heng, I came today and brought you something good. Qin Heng immediately said, good thing. What good thing? Yi Zan smiled and said, the thing you look forward to most. Yi Zan said, taking out the butcher's knife from his waist. Qin Heng looked at the sword in Yi Zan's hand. He had the ability to control a sword and felt keenly that the sword in Yi Zan's hand was not simple. He immediately asked curiously, Yi Zan, what kind of knife is this? Yi Zan smiled and said, this is the royal kitchen knife of Mo Xie, the sword-making king. It is made of cold iron from the sky and tempered for 7 or 79 days. It can break hair when blown, and it is extremely sharp. Qin Heng punched Yi Zan on the shoulder and said, come on, don't you think I've never seen domestic Lingling paint? What's going on? Yi Zan didn't speak. He just pulled a piece of hair from his head, placed it on top of Hanti's pig-killing knife, and blew lightly. Next, Qin Heng saw that Yi Zan's hair was cut in half the moment it touched the blade. Qin Heng looked at this scene excitedly and said, is this the legendary hair blowing and hair cutting? How amazing. Yi Zan smiled and said, do you want this knife? Qin Heng said directly, I think about it, of course I do, but this sword is not suitable for me, right? My ability is sword control, and this sword. Yi Zan said, actually, before I came here, I asked the dean. I asked him if he could find someone to forge this kitchen knife into a sword. The dean said yes, but after it was forged into a sword, it would not be half as powerful. I'd ask hard to keep it. Are you sure you want to do this? Of course not, that's too wasteful, right? But if it's a kitchen knife, I can't control it. Yi Zan retorted, chop knife. Who said it is a kitchen knife? It is just a sword. Qin Heng seemed to have a clear understanding in his eyes. Yi Zan, you mean? Sword is just a name, the definition of sword is too broad. Let's talk about region first. Swords come in different shapes and sizes and materials all over the world. Besides, in terms of time, ancient swords and modern swords are also very different. Your ability is sword control. Who stipulates that the sword you control must be the kind of sword in ancient martial arts dramas? As long as you think it is a sword, then it is a sword. I will leave this pig-killing sword to you, and you can think about it yourself. Quote. After Yi Zan finished speaking, he put down the cold iron pig-killing knife, then turned and left, leaving Qin Heng to think for himself. After Yi Zan left, Qin Heng stared at Hanti's pig-killing knife, repeating what Yi Zan just said in his heart. Yi Zan's words had a great impact on him, making him feel as if a new world had opened up and he had more knowledge and ideas about his abilities. Qin Heng looked at Hanti's pig-killing knife and kept hypnotizing himself. This is a sword, a pig-killing sword. I can control it. Believe in yourself, I can do it, there will be no problem. As Qin Heng continued to self-hypnotize, his expression became more and more focused, and wisps of sweat appeared on his forehead, but Qin Heng himself did not know it. As if he had fallen into some kind of demonic state, he looked at the butcher's knife with a godly expression. Unconsciously, an hour passed. Qin Heng had a lot more sweat on his forehead and his expression became a little nervous, but he still did not give up. Finally, the hard work paid off. With Qin Heng's loud shout, the motionless pig-killing knife suddenly flew up, flying as fast as lightning, circling and flying above Qin Heng's head. Qin Heng also laughed happily, got up. The moment Han Tai's pig-killing knife flew up, the system prompt sounded in Yizan's mind. Congratulations to the host, the favorability of my genius friend Qinheng has increased to 70 points, and I have won a lottery draw. Do you want to draw a lottery? Yizan had returned to the dormitory at this moment. He had been waiting for a long time, and finally heard the long-lost prompt. He said directly, yes. Congratulations to the host, you have won a practice gift box. Practice Acceleration Gift Box, used to assist the host in practice. It contains 5 dual practice cards, 5 practice progress cards, and 5 idle practice cards. Yizan has already come into contact with the dual cultivation cards. When practicing with the Empress, the effect of the cultivation is doubled. The lasting effect of each card is 7 days. 5 cards can last for a full 35 days, which is enough for Yizan and Su Mengli. Used for a long time. The practice progress card can increase the current stage of practice progress by 5%. At the same time, only one practice progress card can be used for every 10 points of development progress. For example, Yizan can use one when he is at the 100% to 100% cultivation stage. If he wants to use it again later, he can only use it at the 11% to 20% stage. The dual practice card has saved half of Yizan's practice time, and the practice progress card has been reduced by half again based on the previous one, which is enough to greatly improve Yizan's practice efficiency. Finally, there are the idle practice cards. There are also 5 cards, and the effect of each card is also 7 days. After the on-hook practice card is activated, in addition to normal practice, Yizan will also go on-hook to practice during his sleep time. The efficiency of practice depends on Yizan's efficiency during the day. This idle practice card, like the previous 2 cards, can be called cheating. While others are practicing, Yizan is practicing. When others are sleeping, Yizan is still practicing, which directly doubles Yizan's practice time. These 3 types of cards are of great help to Yizan's spiritual power development. They can greatly improve Yizan's strength in a short period of time. No wonder it is called a training gift box. Next, without saying anything, Yizan used a practice progress card. Yizan's original ability development rate was 7%. After using this practice progress card, his spiritual power development rate soared to 100%, out of 10. At the same time, Yizan felt that his body was full of power, and the sound of tigers roaring and dragons roaring came from his muscles. All the muscles in his body were beating on their own, very powerful. At this moment, Yizan has a better understanding of the effect of the practice progress card. After being used, the practice progress card is only valid within the current practice threshold. Yizan's previous progress was 7%, which was in the range of 1 to 10. Therefore, the improvement it brought was only between 1 and 10, and the excess was not counted. In other words, the most reasonable way to use the other 4 practice progress cards is to use them directly after Yizan's practice progress reaches 15, 25, etc., to upgrade to the limit of the current stage. This method is the most effective. Good deal. Yizan's body was full of strength, and he wished he could scream in the sky, or find someone to fight. This was the negative effect of the sudden increase in strength. From 7 to 10%, it doesn't sound like much, but in fact, Yizan's power has more than doubled. Dragon Elephant suppresses the prison body, the dragon is in front and the elephant is behind. This dragon character is the essence of Yizan's ability. When the ability breaks through to 10%, the power Yizan possesses is the power of 1 dragon and 10 elephants. The power of 1 elephant is 5 secrets, and the power of 10 elephants is 50 secrets. The power of a dragon is equivalent to the power of 10 elephants, which is also 50 meters. Now that the ability development rate has reached 10%, Yizan's power has directly become 100 meters of power. This is a quite exaggerated number. You know, a train carriage, including the load, is about 50 meters. Now Yizan's strength can easily carry 2 train carriages and run away. If this kind of power hits a strange beast, what kind of terrifying effect will it have? This is just the improvement brought to Yizan by a cultivation progress card. Currently, there are 4 cultivation progress cards, and there are also 5 idle cards and dual cultivation cards. It is conceivable that Yizan's strength will experience explosive growth in the future. Unfortunately, except for the dual cultivation card that can help Su Mengli, these training cards are only effective for Yizan, which makes Yizan a little disappointed. Although it is said that with Su Mengli's talent and step-by-step growth, she will naturally become the Red Lotus Empress in the future. But Yizan hopes that with his help, Su Mengli can go higher and further, and have a higher degree of confidence in facing that amazing Kunpeng in the future. In the following period, Yizan used dual cultivation cards and idol cards to practice. His practice progress was much faster than other students in the Awakened Academy. His strength was improving every day. With the beautiful Empress by his side, Yizan lived a good life. So unhappy. Unknowingly, the 1-month special training was coming to an end, and Yizan and Su Mengli had become closer and closer, but until now, the favorability between the two was still at 70 points, without any change. This makes Yizan a little puzzled. Why does this favorability not move? Could it be said that there must be some negative physical contact before the favorability level will change again? Yizan himself must be looking forward to this kind of thing, but he can't rush it and can only wait for it to happen. This day was the last day of special training. At the end of the training for all the students, Lyn Shu gathered everyone together. Students, this special training is over. During this period, everyone has worked very hard in practice, and we can all see it. Now, it's time to test the results. Everyone knows very well this month that everyone's resources are determined by their own talents. However, after the official start of school, we will calculate an average progress value for ability users of the same level. If the training progress is higher than the average, the training resources will be rewarded to a certain extent on the original basis. If the progress is lower than the average, the resources obtained will be reduced. After all, human beings face many threats. In the endless ocean, there are countless behemoths that are evolving rapidly. Our resources must also be reserved for those who are talented and work hard enough. Quote. After Lyn Shu finished speaking, the staff of the college carried the extra-large version of the Awakening Spirit Ball from the Teaching and Research Office. Then, a group of students began to go on stage to conduct the test according to their student numbers. Zhao Lei said, Yizan, although you are very strong, you only know how to fall in love every day, and your cultivation progress will definitely not be good. I want to surpass you. Qin Heng also said, yes, women will only affect the speed of my sword draw. Brother, you are addicted to beauty, I am afraid you will fall into trouble this time. After hearing what these two people said, Yizan smiled and said, no, have you ever heard of a saying? If a man and a woman are matched, the work will not be tiring, and if the dream is there, I will get twice the result with half the effort. Zhao Lei said calmly, then let's speak with the facts. I believe that my sweat is not in vain. During this month of special training, most people worked very hard and practiced for more than 9 hours every day. Except for tasks, they basically stayed in the academy, practiced hard, and never relaxed. The only exceptions are Yizan and Su Mengli. They usually practice together. When they are not practicing, they go shopping and go on dates, living a relaxed and comfortable life. Although everyone agrees on the strength of Yizan and Su Mengli, the progress of this training cannot be lower than the two of them, right? One student after another comes on stage. After this month of hard training, the progress of A-level ability users is about 10%, while the progress of S-level ability users fluctuates between 2 and 3%. Although there is a certain gap, but it is not big. Among these ordinary people, Zhao Lei is indeed very hardworking. After he took the stage, the super-large awakening spirit ball prompted, student Zhao Lei has the power of S-level Thunder God, and his ability has been developed by 3.4%. Zhao Lei was indeed not bragging. His progress was obviously one section higher than others, and he was worthy of his efforts. After Zhao Lei stepped down, he also glanced at Yizan. Of course, it was not a provocation, but a look of relief, because his efforts were not in vain. If he really wanted to provoke Yizan, he would not have the guts. The gap in strength between the two sides was too big. Afterwards, several more people came on stage, and the S-level training progress basically did not exceed 3%. Zhao Lei was considered the leader. Finally, it was Yizan's turn to take the stage, and he placed his hand on the awakening spirit ball. Yizan from the academy has the S-level dragon elephant prison suppression body, and his training progress is 21.4%. After Yizan's hard work during this period of time, the progress of his practice is very gratifying. With the help of dual repair cards, idol cards and progress cards, he successfully increased his spiritual power development to 21.4%, which is 6 to 7 times that of others. When this voice came from the awakening spirit ball, the students in the audience were silent, especially Zhao Lei, who had a complicated expression on his face. Lyn Shu looked at his students who looked like frost-beating eggplants, and immediately clapped his hands and said, "Okay, everyone doesn't need to think too much, everyone's cultivation progress is normal." The progress of S-level awakeners in other colleges is basically the same as everyone else. As for Yizan, he is a geek and a pervert. Although his superficial talent is only S-level, his real talent is no worse than Su Mengli's. Don't think about comparing with him. In this test, Yizan's average score for S-level progress will not be included in the calculation, so everyone can rest assured. Quote, Lyn Shu's comfort made the students who were shocked feel a little more relaxed. At the same time, they felt a little helpless in their hearts. How could the gap between people be so big? Yizan lived a relaxed life every day, and they were as tired as old cows every day. However, Yizan's progress was several times that of theirs. This was too shocking. After Yizan, Su Mengli also took the stage to test. Her cultivation progress was not high, only 1.16%. Her talent was too high. In terms of cultivation progress, no one can compare with her, but at least numerically, her progress is lower than others, but it is not as shocking as Yizan. After the test, Lyn Shu said, "Okay, this special training is over. Next, everyone can rest for 3 days. During these 3 days, the third batch of awakened people will be born. The awakened ones this time will be college students. By then, our awakened academy will be a lot more lively. That's it for today. Let disperse." Quote. Then, Zhao Lei walked up to Yizan and said, "Yizan, from today on, I am completely convinced by you. Could it be that falling in love can really speed up your cultivation? Then I have to find a partner." Qin Heng listened to Zhao Lei's words and said, "No, are they the only ones in love in our awakened academy? If you think about the other couples carefully, what is their progress? It's a lot slower than you. We are already slow enough, but if we fall in love again, it will be even worse." Quote. Yizan listened to the words of the two people, but a thunder suddenly flashed in his mind. Falling in love, yes, he and Mengli were in love, everyone knew this. However, even though the two of them often hold hands and hug each other now, and even kissed once when they were competing with Mengli before, have they ever seriously said "I love you"? It seems not. The goodwill between me and Mengli has stagnated. Could it be because of these 3 words? At this time, the system prompt sounded. "Congratulations to the host, Zhao Lei's favorability has been increased to 30 points, and you can draw a lottery once, and the cumulative number of draws is 10. Congratulations to the host for triggering the Empress mission. Tomorrow is the Empress's birthday. Prepare a surprise birthday party for the Empress. The rewards are rich, don't miss it." Quote. In the Academy of Awakeners, the total number of S-level awakeners is only 20 or 30, and the rest are mostly A-level awakeners. So far, Yizan has not deliberately made friends with anyone, but slowly, his favorability has basically increased. It has also been raised to more than 30 points. However, Yizan felt that the system's lottery was a bit like the lottery in the game. A single draw would not yield any particularly precious rewards. On the contrary, the results obtained through continuous drawing are quite good. Precious prizes such as knowledge gems and hurricane fruits were all obtained through continuous drawing. Therefore, during this period of time, Yizan accumulated a total of 10 draws and was ready to find an opportunity to have 10 consecutive draws. Now he finally got it together and could have a life-threatening 10 consecutive draws. Coincidentally, tomorrow is Su Mengli's birthday, and Yizan is planning to prepare a wonderful birthday party and a surprising gift for the Empress. In addition, if you say those 3 words that you owe her, maybe the favorability of the Empress can be improved again. In the evening, Yizan returned to the dormitory and washed his hands. Yizan sat upright and said silently in his heart, "System, give me 10 consecutive lashes." Congratulations to the host, you have obtained 6 dual cultivation cards, 2 knowledge gemstones, 8 door dungeon armor, and a mysterious pet egg. I got a total of 6 dual repair cards. It seems that the dual repair card is the guaranteed reward of the ordinary lottery, and it is also the worst reward. The other rewards are the highlight of today. Knowledge gems. This is no surprise, there are 2 more knowledge gems. Yizan was quite happy at first. Because in this way, the spiritual stones that Yizan can obtain every month will be 3 times as much as before. However, after 3 knowledge gems were put together, the system prompt sounded, remind the host that the effects of multiple knowledge gems will not overlap, but 3 knowledge gems can be upgraded to advanced auxiliary equipment. Yizan was stunned for a moment. Can this thing be upgraded? Since the effects do not stack, Yizan naturally has to choose to upgrade. Please choose the upgrade direction, host. 1. Fengming Ring. 2. Encouraging Shield. 3. Wind Crest. 4. Wind Spirit Crest. 5. Star Ornament. The 5 types of equipment have different auxiliary effects as set in the game. At the same time, the reward for obtaining the subsistence allowance remains unchanged, still 5 spiritual stones per hour. Yizan looked at it for a while and said, I choose the Star Pendant. These types of equipment all have good auxiliary effects, some increase speed, some increase defense, and some increase attack speed, but the Star Pendant has the best effect. The Star Pendant can share damage with teammates. Su Mengli is an SSS level Karma Red Lotus with superior attack power, but its own defense is relatively weak. If Su Mengli encounters danger in the future, it would be really good to have Yizan, a big guy, to share the damage for her. As for the 8-gate dungeon, Yizan took a look, and yes, it was the move known as Kai Huang among Naruto, the 8-gate dungeon. And these 8 gates of Dunjia were rewarded to Yizan through the system, and they also changed a lot from the original ones. 8 gates, Metkai opened the 8th gate and almost kicked out the finale. His strength was simply off the charts, but he almost died himself. It can be said that the power was terrifying, but the side effects were equally terrifying. The 8-gate Dunjia awarded to Yizan by the system is not that powerful and has much less side effects. At the same time, it is equivalent to a set of solidified skills, similar to the previous Mighty Tianlong. Yizan can use it directly without spending time practicing. 8-gate Dunjia. After being turned on, the power will increase 8 times, lasting for 8 seconds, and will fall into a weak state after 8 seconds, lasting for 8 days. This 8-door Dunjia is obviously not as powerful as the original 8-door Dunjia, but it is still quite powerful. Yizan's original power was exaggerated, reaching a level of 200 meters. The power increased 8-fold, which is a huge power of 1,800 meters, although it lasted only 8 seconds, and he was in a weak state for 8 days afterwards. However, in 8 seconds, the power increases 8-fold, which is enough to turn the tide of the battle and change the fate in a life or death situation. Therefore, although this 8-second real man's skill is short-lived and has serious side effects, it is a very practical skill that can work wonders at critical moments. Immediately, Yizan set his sights on another reward, the pet egg. Mysterious pet egg. Drop blood on the pet egg, and the pet egg will hatch into a magical pet. The pet will recognize its owner on its own and will never betray. Note: the potential of a pet depends on the owner's talent. The higher the talent, the more powerful the hatched pet will be. Come on, only Mengli can exert the greatest effect on this pet egg. Yizan is only an S level 1 after all. If he hatched it himself, he would be at a huge loss. This pet egg is very suitable to be given to Su Mengli as a pet. She has always liked small animals, but she didn't have the opportunity to keep them. Now that she has this mysterious pet egg, her dream has come true, and it is produced by the system, so it must be good. This times 10 consecutive drawings can be said to be very fruitful. There are 6 dual cultivation cards, which guarantee the effectiveness of Yizan and Su Mengli's cultivation in the future. The 8-gate Dunjia greatly increases Yizan's strength. It's a pity that such a happy 10 consecutive draws will be difficult to happen again in a short period of time. The S-level Awakeners of the Academy of Awakeners of Shanghai University have basically been stripped out by Yizan. It is not that simple to raise the favorability level from 30 to 50 points, and Yizan does not have that much energy and thought to manage these friendships, so he can only let it happen. After 10 draws in a row, it was time to prepare a birthday party for the Empress. Yizan first called his sister. "Sister, are you okay tomorrow?" Yi Shui said directly. You all have a vacation. Of course I'm fine. I have 3 days of vacation just like you. What's wrong? Yi Xuanxian said mysteriously. Tomorrow is Mengli's birthday. I'm going to give her a surprise. In this way, tomorrow morning, you can find a reason to take Mengli out of school and take her around to play or go shopping. I won't be back until noon. Eh? Yi Shui was surprised. What? Tomorrow is Mengli's birthday. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Yi Zan explained. I only found out today. Yi Shui said worriedly. But it's already this time, how can I prepare a birthday gift? Yi Xuandao. You're stupid, didn't I ask you to take Mengli around tomorrow? You can take the opportunity to prepare. I will arrange the arrangements at the school so that Mengli will have an unforgettable birthday party. Yi Shui could only say, okay, that's it. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.